Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order of our City Council this Tuesday, May the 2nd, 2017 at 7 p.m. Ms. Derry, if you would mind calling the roll, please.
Casey Brown.
Here.
Liz Johnson.
Here.
Ron Powell is absent. Daniel is absent. Tim Terry.
Here.
Lance Terry.
Here.
There is a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. At this time, I would like to introduce some very special guests. And this is Ms. Craner's class and Ms. Crow's class from East Point Elementary. If you folks would like to come forward in elementary style. Oh, really? We are honored to have representatives, obviously not both the whole classes, but that's okay. We're honored to have you guys and gals with us tonight. We've been doing this for a couple of months now, having classes come in and lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. I've noticed a struggle with our adults doing this, so I thought it'd be best if the children come in and get us through this. So we will stand, and I'll ask Miss Tanya Taylor to come and lead us in prayer, and we'll follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Lord Jesus, thank you on behalf of all those who are gathered here today. Thank you for your sacrifice and your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself and the need to fulfill our callings. Thank you as well for the freedom to embrace you and the ability to be involved in useful work. In the Bible, you said that we ought to obey the governing authorities since you established those very authorities to promote peace, order, and justice. So I lift up our mayor and city councilmen and ask that you would graciously grant them wisdom, discernment of the welfare and true needs of our city, confidence in what is good, and the ability to work in harmony with this evening's agenda set before them. I pray for peace and joy in each person's life represented here tonight. In all things, Lord, may we glorify you, and it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
It's short, but it's worth it. It's the best part, yeah.
They obviously misunderstood. I told the teachers they have to stay for the whole meeting. I don't know. We're gonna pause for just a second because our microphones are not on. I want to make sure that the ground turns not all. And Mr. Thank you. And the young lady with the big, beautiful bow belongs to Mr. Art City Attorney. Looks just like her grandmother. Looks just like her grandmother. Okay, that was cool. Thank you again for coming and being part of those classes. At this time, I would ask that the council consider approval of the minutes for the April 3rd, 2017 council meeting. I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor. Second. We have a motion and a second.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Ron Johnson.
Yes.
Daniel.
Yes.
Lance Terry.
Thank you. You need to know that Mr. McDaniel is joining us. Are you good to go? Okay. There is no mileage report, as again, I would thank the council as I have been and will continue for that car that we enjoyed to drive through our meetings and such. So appreciate that very much. Recognitions and acknowledgements is just the fact, one, that Richard McKinney, as hard as this is to say it for me, is doing an outstanding job as Parks Director. That's supposed to be funny. But if you haven't noticed, please do as you go through town this evening. The beautiful old copper top that is now placed on our clock tower in the square is just really, really pretty. It looks great, and we appreciate Richard's hard work on that. And that's tough for me to say. No, it looks great. Committee reports. I think you have most of those in your packet, and I know Kenny wasn't going to be here tonight. He apologized. Something about baseball season or something, like he's busy out there. A couple of thousand kids. Lisa is not here. I assume you have a report from Lisa from our senior citizens Parks Commission. Did they have anything? Yes, sir.
And do an update.
You bet.
Mayor and Council, we wrote this report up last week, and we were still anticipating putting that roof on next week. Everything moved a little bit ahead of schedule. We got it done this morning. That'll all be illuminated tonight when we leave here after dark up inside the bell for the first time. You'll be able to see that. That was all 100% grant money through Wapagity. Some big files and then Charlotte Evans were both responsible for us getting that money. $10,000 for the project cost. That included all the frame rental and the material to build and get set. And we also update on our we had the highway department approved our reimbursement, $41,000, 41, I think there's about in there. That's all. That's 80% of what we spent out of Lake so far. We've spent about $41,000 on Lake project. That's all we have there.
Thank you. Mr. Grimes, or not Mrs. Grimes. It's a pleasure to see you. Do you have a report this evening? Or
There's one in your, I think there's one in your packet. And then I added the light blue folders have the actual bills.
Oh, okay.
Some of them are 20-something pages, sorry about that. I had nothing to do with the link.
Would you mind going over those?
You know, it's a long time since I've
About
had to do that.
that. There you go.
They are, just so everybody knows, I'm sure you all do, they're back in session. They adjourned sine die on Monday, then went back into special session. I understand the governor wants them to move quickly, so they should be finished here fairly quickly. And it has to do with Medicaid. So, unless y'all have any questions, that's just about the legislative update.
We're crossing our fingers that I know the GIN is gone, but we're crossing our fingers at the end of that special session. Maybe the governor's going to refer to a little bit of something.
It certainly could. It's
Okay.
in his purview. So we'll
Okay,
see.
very good.
See how he feels.
Yes, I understand. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Lejean, you may issue construction progress update.
Mayor, Council, Ms. Derry, Mr. Hamby. We are continuing work on the street department building. If you guys haven't noticed, all the concrete is mowed around the exterior. The new lower portion of the exterior wall has been built and waterproof tape. Brick ledge is installed. The new overhead doors are framed. Masonry has been delivered to the site. They're going to start installing it Friday. They were supposed to do it earlier in the week. Obviously, you guys know the weather we've had the last few days. And then the metal wall panels and roof panels and trim have also been delivered to the site. They'll be continuing work on masonry, like I mentioned, and the metal panels will follow in right after that. The new concrete and the new overhead doors will be kind of the last things to go in on the project. We did receive a pay application from Circle M Construction. They're asking for $65,670 of the $222,655 contract. And we looked this over and are in agreement to pay that. We'll be sending this to Simon tomorrow, and be happy to answer any questions about that project. Besides helping Richard on the Lake project, that's the only ongoing city work that we have right now. Thank you.
Wow, that's fine. Thanks, sir. The progress looks good. Water Wastewater Commission, Mr. Radder.
Mayor, Council, Shannon, Ms. Derry, you should have a copy of the report as well as a map. First thing on the agenda here to discuss is the meeting with James Ford. James Ford has identified Mark Cock from EMS to be our liaison person, so we've been working with him to try to understand how they would partner with us as we move to the 71 corridor. The first portion of it that we're very interested in trying to accomplish, it obviously is the corner there where the Bird property is. Mr. Cox came to us with a proposal after he met with the board, and it was too much money. They want, if you look at that map, it's noted in blue. They got 47 customers there, plus the property of Burton's, and they wanted $400,000 for that. When you do the numbers, that's like a 35-year payback. That makes no sense whatsoever. So we'll probably let it sit for a little bit, and when there is some activity there, we need Burton, we'll get back in front of them and try to negotiate what makes sense. But the deal that they put on the table does not make any sense to the city of Greenwood, specifically the water commission. Tim continues to clean up a water ordinance. We were going to have that here for first reading tonight, but there are a couple little modifications. So I think Mr. Amy decided to, between the two of us, we're not going to put that on first reading tonight. We're going to look over that a little closer, and Tim's got a few changes, so we'll work through that. We're working on job descriptions to match the salary sheet that we provided you guys at the last meeting to look at, to make sure that those coincide with each other. And as we do our increases in June, we'll be looking at those job descriptions to make sure that they're all signed and everybody understands what the job descriptions are. Greg did provide a report to ADEQ concerning the alpha packing issue where they let some dye slip through. We think that was a one-time occurrence. They're not necessarily indicating that it was, but we think it was. But so he's satisfied the ADEQ at this point in time. What he's also doing is looking at across the market to see if we can find chemicals in the event that it happens again. We can force some chemicals through the system and clear it out. And then we're continuing to work with Alpha Factor to try to find out what the cause of that was. And they are also looking at some chemical solutions in the event that they think it happens again. They can flush some chemicals through their system and try to help clear it out before it comes to us. Because eventually, we're ultimately responsible for what we release, and we got to make sure that that dye doesn't come all the way through the system and out the other end. So we've got an item on the agenda that I'm going to cancel. It's item number 5. It has to do with a water sewer model. We talked about that a couple of times with you guys over the last couple months. The timing of it didn't work out. We were hoping to try to get those monitors that they were going to use to measure our flows in April, so that we had April and May before we got into the dry months to capture that water, because this is really the best time of the year to do that. They weren't able to get out until the end of May, possibly the 1st of June. So we're going to postpone that to the fall and come back and talk about that in the fall, about doing that sewer model. That way we can take advantage of the wet season to be able to make sure that the numbers that we provide are going to be the high numbers and not low numbers. Any questions on that? Last night, we did have a bid opening. Unfortunately, when we moved the council meeting, per state statute, we still had to go ahead and go with that bid opening. So it was myself, Charlotte was present, as well as the engineer was present. There was no one else. And Greg, there was no one else here. The bids were open. You have the results of those bids. There were 2 companies for the Park Heights removal of the lift station in Park Heights. One of them was Krause Construction, the other one was Crawford. Krause obviously was the one, and you should have those bid tallies that came in. This is quite pleasing to us. We budgeted about $300,000, and this came in at $184,000, so that's very, very nice to see that number there. That item is on the agenda. If at all possible, we'd like to get that moved up. I think it's item number 11 to award the lowest bidder. It's not on
It's
Oh,
not on yet.
It will be added on. So if we could get that taken care of earlier, I would appreciate it. That way I'm not charging you guys by the hour for all the hours I'm here. That rate is pretty steep.
That's pretty steep for property work.
What's the scope of that project?
The Park Heights, we're completely removing that pump station, that lift station out of service, and it'll be a gravity feed. So that'll help in electricity rate, you jump in here and use time.
It's something we've been doing for 15 years. We started over there when you lived at Crooked Creek, the smell, and so I did a west side interceptor that went around Crooked Creek and went to Ulmer. Luckily, we did it right before Walmart came in, and still been trying to finish it off. Floyd went in with us and extended a little bit more, and we had about 1,263 more feet to go. We've got the money. We're going to finish it, get rid of that lift station.
That'll help us on the maintenance. It'll help us on our utility bills. Anytime we can take a lift station out of service and do something else, that's going to be better for us in the long run because we don't have to maintain the lift stations when they're not in service. 200,000 gallon tank, what they're doing now is preparing that for sandblasting. The weather's obviously causing them some issues. They've got all the sandblasting pellets up there. They need to get started on the sandblast it, but as soon as they sandblast it, they've got to prime it. Otherwise, flash for us. That's just bad news.
Where's the Bellwood tank at?
It's right beside the oak tank up above the golf course. And if you drive down the road, you can see it now. It's sitting right beside the other, you can see both of them.
So it's just right beside the other one up
Yes.
behind the golf course, okay.
Up at the top of the hill on the golf course, you turn in and kind of go back up around with that cell tower. And then the medium gallon tank, we're working on the final health department connections. We had a little bit of a delay with them, trying to get their finalization on how they wanted those connections made. They had some modifications, so we're working on those final connections. Proper Construction is doing that. We're hoping that once that's done, it's going to be clean up and fine tuning and then start to fill the tank. So we can see the end of it if the weather cooperates with it. The generators, we talked about those being complete. You see the expenditures at the bottom, we started with 2.25. We're just a little over $1.5 million. It's about $700,000 in budget. I'm anticipating another $275,000 to $350,000 in expenditures, and then the rest of that will just be under budget. If you'll remember, the reason why it's so far under budget is our tank came in about $275,000 to $300,000 less than we, the elevated tank less than what we had projected. So we're going to have a significant under budget option here, which we're pleased with. Any questions about that report and the Jamesport issues?
So, on the Jamesport issue, what you've got outlined in blue here is what they currently serve.
They service that. They have about 47 customers on that. They can't expand their service. It's pretty tapped. The lines in the ground are small. I think 2 inch is about what they have through there. 1 inch in some places. And they can't provide any additional capacity on those lines. So there's nothing they do with it except for sink money in the ground. I don't think they want to do that. So I think we're probably in a good position just to kind of hold off and wait a little bit, let them think about the offer they made to us and see if we can come back to the table on it. If you look at it, they actually have Walmart circled in, and technically that was their service area, but they could not service it from a fire standpoint. That's the same problem we had with Ginsburg when we built, when Tractor Supply built. They could provide the water, but they could not provide the fire service. So we put that 12-inch main in there to do that, and now we're starting to grow that area from a commercial standpoint. They just cannot provide the service without putting, hundreds of thousands, if not close to millions of dollars of infrastructure in the ground. They just can't do it.
So the new businesses going in, going to be on agreement with our water bill.
They'll be on our water bill, correct, the new ones, but the ones that are existing there are not. You've got the collision center is on James Fork Water, and I believe the vet clinic is on James Fork Water, but they're on Greenwood Sewer. And then all the new businesses will be on Greenwood Water. I mean, we're not seeing a lot of water demand there, but we've got tax demand, so it'll be good. And that's the same on the other side. They could probably service the gas station provide the water for a gas station if something comes in there for burden, but, that's the capacity, that's all they can provide. And they won't be able to provide the fire protection, so we're gonna have to come to the table and negotiate how we do that. Just the initial toss across the fence was a little unreasonable.
And it's just pipes to the ground is the reason, when you say capacity.
Yeah, they've got a 2-inch line going through there, and it's max. They've got 47 customers on it.
I would say, not because of the amount of water they get up here, it's just the fact that the water lines in the ground.
The water lines that they have in the ground, they've got a 12-inch across Highway 71, but in order to come, they have to push it under the street and expand all their lines, and that would cost them a lot of money. So I'm sure we'll be discussing this issue as Mr. Burton gets a little closer to doing something there. We'll be discussing it, and hopefully we can come to an agreement that's fair and equitable for both parties.
I was curious, where's the 12-inch coming across 71?
There's one that comes across just north of, is that Cedar? Cedar. There's one that comes across right there, maybe just south of Cedar, sorry.
South of Cedar.
And then they have another one that comes across with theme, right there where the highway department's got that parking lot that may come in through there. They don't exactly know where all the lines are, but they think that they've got one coming across there, but that's a small one as well.
Oh, it's not going to be like a 12-inch?
No, the only 12-inch they have is on the other side of the highway.
Okay.
And so what they were trying to do was create a model, and I'll just share that with you. Initially, they told us they thought $5,400 per customer was a good model for them to look at, because we wanted something we could use as we move south, that we could expand our service area with. And $5,400 customer sounded pretty reasonable. I believe that's what they actually wound up having to get out of Fort Smith. $400,000 number is $7,500 per customer, so the number went up. And it's interesting because Mark is the one that presented to us the $400 number, and then after he went to the board meeting, it came back at $7,500. So I don't think they liked it because he presented it a little premature. But so they think $7,500 is the right number. Financially, that just doesn't make sense. I mean, the payback on that is too big.
And there has been a precedent with that, the number to Fort Smith?
The 5,400, yeah. And that was a fairly reasonable number. We could get a payback on that. It would take us 15 years for to get a payback.
Was that, we locked, the rates we have with them currently on the water we buy, are they locked in for good, or they fluctuate too? Can you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I'd have to look at the contract. I think they can do a 3% increase. I'd have to go look at the contract to be sure. I'll take a look at that and let you know at the next meeting. But I think they do have the ability to increase the charge. We're stuck at 500,000 gallons take or pay, but I do believe they have the opportunity to raise those rates as the cost of materials and producing water goes up for them. But I'll let you know.
I mean, you see where I'm going with this water.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that they still service 500,000 gallons a day. So technically, they're getting paid for the water that we would be selling to customers that they're going to sell us. It's a win-win for them.
I appreciate you watching out for our best interests there, Steve.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate your work on all that. That's a big thing for Greenwood in the future, obviously, out there. And kind of tag on what you said, Mr. Burke was actually in my office today to discuss some. He's a young man, and he's very excited about what's going to happen out there, and he's working real hard, and he's willing to help us do it in any direction we can. So I think we've got a lot of opportunity there. And he's got some neat things happening. I want to mention too that I know we have not listed area agency on aging on our committee reports. Now that we have a letter from Ms. Reno and then a report in there regarding that agency also. Just kind of make aware of what's in your packet. And I also was going to let you know that I just recently accepted a position on their board of directors, so I'll kind of have some insight on what's going on in that agency. And they're kind of reconstructing a little bit. In fact, they have 3 new members on the board, so it's a great opportunity. I feel privileged to be asked to serve on that board. At this time, we will recognize any members in the audience that meant to sign up. We have a sheet that we normally have out front, and we did have out front, and no one signed up this evening. But again, I would remind if you didn't know of it, or if you wanted to speak, we would allow you to do that this time. Did you guys have anything you wanted? Okay. Just here for the event. Okay.
No, we were gonna talk, I didn't know about the sheet.
Oh, well, you're welcome. If
Just a brief minute.
if that's okay with council, go ahead, absolutely.
Okay.
I thought you were just here to watch the fun.
No, sir, it was a good time. Mr. Mayor, council, good to see y'all. I'm Heath with MSG Waste, and this is Virgil Smith, MSG Waste. And we just wanted to stop in and tell you guys that we were very interested in your waste removal contract that's coming up in September. We would be attending these council meetings from now on moving forward. We kind of got jockeyed there last time on the dates and they messed up, but we've got a few pictures there of some of the equipment that we would be providing for you guys in this service. And there's a lot of stuff I'm sure you guys have questions on as we move forward. Next council meeting, we'll make sure we get signed up and have some time to let you guys know we're coming to discuss some things. But again, we just wanted to say we're here and we would be, we're very interested in your contract. If there's anything we do for you in the meantime, just holler at us.
I just wondered if y'all took your recycled stuff to the landfill.
That's a big deal, isn't it? That's a big deal. We see them do it every day. But no, there's other places that you can take it. Not a problem. Not a problem. Gentlemen, we appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you. Appreciate you coming. Agenda additions. As you can tell, it is already a mayor's meeting this evening on all the items. So I'm going to add number 10, if you would, with your permission. I'd like to add number 10, and I'm just entitling it annexation.
It's you.
Yeah.
Bomb tree.
The A word.
Number 11 is bid.
11 would be the bid approval, but at this time, with consideration, Mr. Rattery, did he already leave? There he is. But we could swap that, and I don't mind putting that at the top if you don't care. So we'll put in bid approval at number 1, and then just move everything down accordingly. Yes, sir.
Install price for that grant,
Okay. So we'll call that number 12, resolution.
Well, it's
Or,
supposed to be here, but it's not.
okay. Install, I'm sorry.
Install computer equipment.
Computer equipment, all right. In the police department. You know how this is going to work. We went for about 4 months without any agenda additions, so now we're going to go for about a year with several. So it's kind of something to think about. No, we're not. Okay, we'll move right into old business. Number 1 is ordinance to waive bidding on Eagle Sculpture and authorization to enter into contract. Mr. Handy was to provide that. I have not looked to see. I'm sorry. I just said it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Mr. Ratner, Mr. Ratner, yes, sir.
Before we get too far away from these guys, the draft for the
Contract.
trash removal.
Yes.
Where's that? I missed last month.
You provided it, I handed it out, I believe all the councilmen received your draft, and we got it. Well, I don't want to wait till June or July, but I think we need to get on it, which I guess we.
Yes, the council will look at the contract, mark down anything that they need to change.
Thank you. So, we can add and discuss it a little bit if you want to, or. Did the council have a chance to do that? We'll go through and look at that proposed.
I did not really.
Okay, so you want to, How about we make that for homework again, and we do that next month?
Yes.
Okay. We'll do that, we'll do that. You should have had it in last month's packet. So we'll, if you would, council, look at that.
And I don't have anything to add to that, or I just think.
Okay. Oh. There you go. Sorry. Thank you. Okay, good deal. Okay, does that answer your question, Mr. McDaniel?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Roderick?
Mayor, council, I think item number 11 is to award the lowest responsible bidder for the removal of the Park House lift station. And I will tell you that tallies have already been done, and Kraus Construction was the lowest responsible bidder. So if we can get that approval, we'll move forward.
$184,795.
That's correct.
I make a motion that we approve the lowest bidder for the extension of website sewer collector.
Second.
Have a motion, 2 seconds.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
And just a reminder, item number 5 has been removed. Will come up in the fall.
Okay, thank you. You want to stick around for the rest of it?
For number 2.
Number 2, resolution to amend salary ranges for water, wastewater positions.
Wait, number 1 is actually.
I'm gonna hang around for number 2. You,
Okay. Is that what you needed? I'm gonna move that to number 2.
I'm just here to answer your questions.
Okay.
That's
Okay, let's
yours.
just do that one.
It's number 11, and so we're on number 1
Okay.
now. Just so we all know where we're at.
Is that important for everybody to know where we are? Seriously?
Sorry. Because it's super confusing.
You're looking at me like, are you recording? Okay, let's start with actual number 1 in print. Ordinance to waive bidding on Eagle sculpture and authorization to enter into contract. And you have that in your packet. And I think, I don't know if everybody was here last month when we discussed this particular item. We've received and made, I don't think you do, since we came up with $5,000 rough, basically.
Minutes from last month that we're talking about it.
Yeah. You have them?
How much you total you got now?
We have paid $7,000 and some change, and I have $5,000 plus, I have the other $7,000. I still need $7,000. And I'm not asking for that now, it's not due till September. Is that correct, Tammy? October, September,
Since 500 from transportation mayor, 2667 from the building supplies, combined with $5,000 donation from Lofty.
That made the first
To
$7,000.
increase capital expenditures, current down payment of 7667.
Correct.
There was an error in that math. The resolution is correct. I think it's something like that.
Since then, we have not received, but we have been promised a $5,000 donation from Farmers Bank.
How much?
$5,000. And Mike McAllister has offered to donate the remainder $2,000 and $167, I think it is, to, as personal donation to make up the second payment of $7,000, whatever it is. It's the third payment that is not cleared yet, but I have other
But you don't have to have it till,
September, I think it's September.
so far, everything we're paying for is gonna be donated money.
That's correct. Other than, no, we moved some money within
That's
the
what,
budget. Yes,
90% of it.
yes. Yes.
And that's what
It looks like we paid 31,667. Does that sound right out of the budget? 31,667 and the others come from private donations?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And there'll be just about, we have,
The third payment, and again, the second payment's not been made yet, because I've not received that donation from the Farmers Bank or Mr.
Second
McAllister.
payment's due in July,
The second payment is in July.
and then the third payment's due in October.
September, October.
So you got some time to come up with the other 7,000 for which you're asking.
Yes, I feel really pretty, and I'm not saying I won't be back to ask for 7,000 in the city, but I feel pretty confident that we're going to.
Mike, are we comfortable waiting to pay the bids because of what we know this process? I make a motion to put this ordinance on for first reading by title.
First and second.
Mr. Brown?
yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Lance Terry?
Yes.
That's unanimous. An ordinance waiving competitive bidding for construction of the Eagle sculpture for placement within the clock tower and Memorial Square, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
Thank you.
We have an emergency clause on this?
Yes.
I think we do.
Yes.
We waive second, third reading.
Second.
Motion second to waive second, third reading.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
McDaniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Lance Terry? It's unanimous.
Thank you. Okay, we good?
No.
No, they're on,
Sorry.
you're on the.
I got my mind on something else, I'm sorry.
I second.
Have a motion and a second to enact emergency clause.
Did Mr. Brown make that
Yes.
motion?
Second by Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Lance Terry?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
One more.
One more.
Adopt the ordinance. Make a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Second.
This is enacted.
Oh, this is the act version?
Yeah.
I hadn't been here. All disappeared on, yeah, the act version.
Bill,
Okay.
motion and a second to enact emergency clause.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Lance Terry?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Good.
Unanimous.
Okay, thank you very much. Number 2. Resolution to amend salary ranges for water, wastewater positions. You also have that in your packets. This was brought to the attention by the Parks Committee.
It was actually about me,
Oh, okay.
because in our
Oh, that's right, this is a cleanup.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe a housekeeping measure, because when you look at our records, you know, we only have one from last year, the salary schedule, and Water Wastewater Commission has amended theirs, and so it would seem appropriate to review the new schedule, revise the new schedule by this resolution, so that we don't benefit the old one. So everything but water and wastewater stayed the same, so water and wastewater changes, but the whole schedule's in there, amendments.
So we are amending and revising our pay schedule
Match
to
there.
match the water commissions
Yes.
as opposed to vice versa.
Well, and theirs changed when the original.
No, I don't think that's, I think it's to include the new one to overlay into the one that you have, because what you have didn't have enough detail in it, so we expanded the detail, so it just needs to match now.
Add jobs and.
Yes.
Job description, whatever.
Right.
Well, and the announcement's a little different, but they've already voted on it, but we need to put it in our records.
This matches it. Correct? Make a motion to adopt this resolution.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Lance Terry?
Thank you. Item number 3, resolution to amend budget for $15,000 economic development. And I consider this kind of a cleanup measure, if you will. There was $15,000 listed in the budget that you passed, although it was not expendable, if you will.
It was listed as savings.
It was listed as savings, and the desire was for that to be under economic development to be used for purposes seen fit as the divided economic development committee, which is chaired by Mr. Lejean. So it's not any new money, it's just,
Well, it is in the,
well,
it's savings, but
correct.
it's not in there as an expenditure, you know,
Right.
at this moment.
Right.
And now, give me the Cliff Notes version on what we're needing to put this into expenditure out of the savings.
We have nothing specifically said. Michael, did you, I mean, I know you're kind of caught off guard because I'm the one that put this on. What the Economic Development Committee talked about and utilizing any economic development money that was given to them by the council would be for training, going to conferences regarding economic development. If we had an issue specifically, and we're not faced with one of those at this time, if there was money that were needed to bring business in for whatever reason, that's what it's for, if that makes sense. I mean, there's
So
nothing.
before this money got spent, there would have to be, because it's a line item.
It was just a savings.
Yeah, but now it's gonna be a line on our budget, when this money just goes spend. I guess the question I would have is that, I'm all for the economic development committee, I've been on that and participating in that, but I'm just trying to logistically understand if the committee decides it wants to spend $5,000 on a meeting in Toledo, Ohio, and are they gonna invoice the city? And then we would get the invoice from them for that money? Charlotte, how logistically does that work?
Yeah, the committee is just, like
They're
any
just-
Freedom Fest committee, it's just a committee. And
Yeah.
the city pays whatever expenses.
But, so that the committee understands, like when Freedom Fest pays for a band or whatever it pays for, they invoice.
The A&P, I mean, but still, it's the city, yeah.
Right, so,
City pays the bill.
the Economic Development Committee would not need to seek our approval in how they spend the money, because we're giving them carte blanche here with this 15,000 line item to use their judgment, and I'm okay with that. But just, so they understand and we understand, if they decide they want to spend 7,000 on some project to bring some company in here, wine and dine, or whatever they want to do, they
I can imagine it would go through the mayor at least. He would be issuing a PO and saying.
So I guess that's what I'm trying to clarify, so that Michael understands and we
Because
understand.
finance would be like, where'd this come from? You know, 'cause
Yeah.
there's no director of it.
Because I guess I'm just trying to make sure I understand how city money, this committee's set up a little different. Let's see, what's your take on that, man?
Does it fall in bidding requirements if it exceeds the limits and all of those
Yeah,
kinds
I
of
don't
things?
know exactly.
I might just reiterate too that we've had this line item for say for the last, this will be the third year, and we've spent very little money.
Yeah.
It's really there for if someone comes along and we need it for a particular project and we want to, we want to bring this company into our community to build a new building or start a new project, we have money, seed money to kind of back them up or support a job or something like that that goes along with economic development. I think an example of we're going to Toledo to do something is the wrong, misleading
I
comment
guess
about what we're going to do.
I want you to have the freedom as the committee to make a quick decision if you need to and spend this money. It's there for you to spend. I trust the committee to spend it, or we wouldn't put it in a line item. I just want to make sure that you understand how to access that money if you need it, if it needs to come through a PO to the mayor, or if you can just go and write a check and get reimbursed, or
Yeah, that would be something that we would need to work out with the mayor and Charlotte. I mean, everything would be.
Yeah, it just occurred to me that I don't know exactly logistically.
I mean,
I think we
my
probably don't know
would
it.
still apply as a city to this
Yeah,
money, you
yeah.
can spend it right on.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you can't spend it on certain things that are just not, legal.
Yeah, I understand.
But,
But from a process standpoint, yeah, I'm just curious.
yeah, I don't feel I have to go through the mayor, because there's really no other director.
There's not anything else in the budget that parallels this unless it were, the Freedom Press goes through the Parks Commission, right, and AP, so that's separate from this, is sort of a unique.
Oh, the city pays some things on Green Fest as well now.
Yeah, and everything that we've done so far has been through the mayor. And
So
There's not anybody on the committee that's authorized.
So I think the mayor's also been bringing finance to the.
And one thing too, and I'll let one because she's here, but one thing that the Economic Development Committee decided last year was to hire Ms. Taylor back there, who is our chamber director, to be part of, to work alongside with us, and it's that partnership that $4,000 a year to go toward her salary, and that was a partnership between the city and the chamber to make that happen. So there's probably our biggest,
That's
our
our
only
biggest
expenditure
expenditure
so
right
far.
now.
Well, but I just agree with Dr. Lee here, just saying that, what's the process? I mean, because if it's there, how easily can you do it? Can he just bring in his, I mean, if he did charge something on his credit card, to bring in his credit card statement, be reimbursed, or would you have to go through some type of?
I would say whatever the council, I think it's y'all's desire, if you need it, if you're good with it, coming to my office and need a PO on it, if that's okay, that, I mean,
reimbursements are not really the greatest way to do
It's
it.
just go through Doug. I mean,
I'm okay with that. I just want to make sure that, just to avoid confusion, since this is a point of topic, and hopefully we have opportunities to spend some of this money on something positive. I just want to make sure that the process is clear to the committee and clear to the mayor, and clear to everyone at the table. So the process would be, the committee comes up with something, brief the mayor can okay the expenditure up to 15,000.
well, there's your catch, I guess. My limit typically is $5,000 on any other
But
matter.
we're,
This is a line item.
we're established the line item, so.
And that's the way we want it to be. I mean, we don't want anyone that's on the committee to be able to just come and say,
Yeah.
I spent this money.
Yeah.
But everything's gonna go to the mayor, because he's our own, I mean, there are other city people on our committee, but he's the ultimate.
Yeah, no, I really, my point of bringing it up is just to clarify in an open forum so that there's not confusion.
No problem on our end at all.
It could,
And if it's something Doug is questioning, I mean, do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah.
If he wants to spend 15,000 on an eco.
And the committee currently meets,
We charge admission for that, it's
There you go.
economically relevant.
the committee currently meets once a quarter.
Yeah.
So we make, if any decisions need to be made in between those times, we just usually kind of do that by email, votes or anything like that that need to come up. But it's pretty much, we only meet and make decisions anytime on those quarterly meetings. There's not other activity unless a particular.
But I also know
comes
that
in.
in the past, things have come up quick,
Right.
unexpected,
Right.
and we're needing to make
Right,
a
we just
decision
make-
quick, and I just want to make sure there's not obstacles to access the money, and we know how to do it.
Yes, sir.
Also, I have a request. Will you keep it in mind about that reuse fund that we closed? You remember that? When I came to y'all and explained that to you, and we closed that AIDC reuse fund, we still have to spend $6,800 or whatever it is that time. And I have to write that state agency and let them know what we spent it on.
That's
And
what we'll
the
do.
case
So,
closed.
Yeah.
What?
That's what we'll go to.
Yeah, no, then it'll close that. That's
Okay.
still open for that reason only.
But that's not more money, that's part of this.
Yeah, it should be
It's
closed.
part of
Yes,
this.
I'd like to know when I'll spend that and what to
Okay.
spend it on, so I can do that.
And two, just so you know, and this is not about the process, and I'm glad this is aired and we take care of that, because I haven't really thought about the process, to be honest with you, because that's the only only expenditure we've had so far. But we, and I'll speak on behalf of the committee, and Michael can, that we're excited to have this seed money, and that's what we consider this seed money, $15,000, and we're very grateful that the council would consider putting this aside for economic development. You know, and I always bring up Poto, and I'll real quick too. When we go to visit with Mayor Poto, he refers to it as a bucket of money, and we call ours the thimble of money. But we're getting it, we're started, so you gotta have a thimble before you have a bucket, so.
How much is in the line item right now?
It's spent.
It's
4,000 was in there and it's spent.
what's not before this?
It says we're increasing by 15,000, what would it start at? What we budgeted.
It was
Oh,
4,000.
it was 4,000 originally, and we spent it for the chamber.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm sorry. I didn't know what you- That makes sense?
Yes.
Make a motion to pass this resolution.
Second.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Have a motion and second to pass resolution.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Vice Terry?
Yes.
That's unanimous.
Thank you. Item number 4 is resolution for records destruction in Sebastian County. This is housekeeping. I'll let Charlotte, I'm sorry.
Sherry Mitch contacted me and emailed me what you're looking at there, and they just need, their form of court needs this. They've got records in court that are pertaining to Greenwood cases, and they just need to destroy them and explain what they're destroying.
Mr. Hamby?
Yes, I visited Ms. Mitch as well. Every city that I represent has to pass this. I recommend it.
Make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Second.
And a motion and second to adopt the resolution.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Terry? Terry?
Yes.
Vice Terry?
Thank you. Item number 5 has been removed. That's the Water Wastewater Commission resolution. So we're removing that. Item number 6 is wastewater. Mr. Cross.
Yes. I called a local company, we're kind of building, built 42 by 30, that sewer. The old dog pen got blown over. We were using that to store some stuff underneath. We really need a building. We've got 2 sewer machines, we just don't have the room. So I talked to a local company about a 42 by 30 out there, right next to the old pad. He gave me a price. It was almost about $24,800 or something. I called him to see if he was going to be able to match that this year, and he said, well, no, it's gone up twice. And I said, well, all I got is 25. He said, I'll do it for 25. And I thought, well, he's a local company, and so I'd like to keep it local if I can. He's already done 2 or 3 other things for me at the water plant. And so I'm just basically trying to keep it local. And he's the only one I found that'll do concrete and all. So I'd like to, if I could, way competitive bid, just have a local company do that.
Greg visited with me on this, and I think it was justified to waive competitive bidding on this, but due to the fact that difficulty in finding people to do the whole ball of wax.
And how big is the building?
42 or 30. It's long enough to put a sewer machine with a truck in front of it.
I'm trying to figure out a way to get a dog kennel.
At least in the back corner.
Well, I thought about having a guy build a 2-for-1 building deal for half price. Anyway, I'll make a motion to waive competitive bidding. Oh, wait, this is ordinance. I'll make a motion to ordinance to waive competitive bidding.
Second.
Yes, for a first reading by title only.
Got a motion second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Dr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Vice Terry?
Yes.
An ordinance waiving, an ordinance waiving competitive bidding for construction of a storage building for the wastewater treatment plant, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
Motion we waive second, third reading.
Second.
A motion second to waive second and third reading.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Vice Terry?
Make a motion to adopt it.
Motion second to adopt.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels? Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Vice Terry?
Make a motion we act the emergency clause.
Second.
Motion and second to enact emergency clause.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Vice Terry? Unanimous.
Thank you. Mr. Cross.
Thank you.
Number 7, community garden discussion. I actually have a lady's name printed out by mine. I was going to invite Mrs. Barnes here this evening, but I thought we had a full agenda to begin with, so we'll do that on another evening probably. But it really is just to make the council aware, and you may have already seen it in the paper. Dustin was here to record. We've had one meeting on such a desire, if you will. Miss Barnes is a Girl Scout leader, among other things. She has other interests in too, but she's a Girl Scout leader. And we had a meeting, public meeting, to see if anybody was interested in such a thing. I think we had 7, 8 adults, not including myself. I don't consider myself an adult. But 7 or 8 adults, and then probably 5 or 6 young folks here that were interested. One being Mr. John Fairbanks, who is a master gardener here in Greenwood. And he's very interested. My dad came, as I consider him a master gardener. I mean, I have the title. Anyway, there are a few folks that are interested in that. I was going to supply with a lot of pictures this evening, but I thought I'd wait until Miss Barnes was able to come visit with you about it and see if you had any questions. What was suggested, or what I informed her and the other group, the rest of the group that was here, that the city owns 2 vacant lots on Main Street that could possibly be utilized, one or the other, for such a thing. They were very receptive and excited about that. And since that time, I have received one call and probably a couple of comments that they thought this would be better, not necessarily better suited, but they had been thinking about along the lines of a community garden. And their suggestion would be more over toward the historical district. They volunteered property that does not belong to the city or them. happens to belong to First National Bank, and I've not approached Mr. Beams over there regarding that. I think it would be probably acceptable to them. But anyway, just kind of wanted to let you know that there's some discussion going on about it. Community gardens are very typically seen in very large cities where folks don't have the opportunity to plant their own garden or the property to do so. But we also find in even communities our size, I say we find there's literature talking about it, and you can see it in other areas that they do it for handicap accessible. So you can do all kinds of good things. But some of the questions that came up and concerns was, would it remain kept? Who would keep it up? All of those things, maintenance. So just want to make you aware that there's some discussion going on, and I would invite and encourage any comments. I mean, if you want to do it now, or we'll talk later about it. Certainly, if you, with the council's permission, I'll invite Ms. Barnes maybe next month to give you her thoughts on it, if that's okay.
Where were you saying with the possible areas?
Well, I told, we have 2 vacant lots that we moved the 2 houses on Main Street. I know that we had there's no formal discussion yet on even what to do with those 2 lots. I know we talked about parking lot, and I think that is a necessity downtown and would be very valuable to the merchants downtown, and they like that idea. You could put it right beside it. And when I say community garden, I envision very well kept, maintained, fence around it. I mean, not a Constantine 10-foot barbed wire fence, but something nice, aesthetically pleasing. Or, again, we discussed without the permission of anybody. We're discussing a little bit over toward the historical area. Donnie Goldstein, who is on the Historical Society, was saying that she had thought this in the past, that would be a nice place for something like this. One, it's kind of out of the way. 2, it would be a good teaching tool for that organization to teach young kids and maybe even some adults how people have had to, in the past, have grown their own vegetables and food and that sort of thing. So her concern was exactly the same. Need to make sure it looks nice, and they would even, I think, want it to be historically accurate, if you will. Maybe not steel T-posts, maybe something a little different from back in the old days.
Lauren, is there any up there at the fairgrounds?
I mean, that doesn't belong to us, obviously, but, sure. I mean,
What about Liberty Park out there?
I think your parks director might have things to say about it if it's on a park. I don't know.
I just don't know how much activity that park gets, I mean, it's a nice little.
There's a lot of fishing going on.
Nice little piece of property,
Just, the biggest thing, I think, for anywhere is to make sure, and I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but in this group, that's the reason I want you to hear from her at some point. One, it would be, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, it could be very, very inexpensive to do. Yes, there'll be some cost and some dirt, and especially the raised beds, but somebody's going to have to keep it up. And if there is a good volunteer group to do it with, then you turn it over to them. If it doesn't succeed and it becomes an eyesore, you do away with it and nothing lost, so to speak. But yeah, I think it'd be very good to have some discussion on where all it could be, and there may be more than one. I don't know. I don't know that how much need there is, but there were a few people here, and I've had a few calls about it. So,
Mr. Hammond, would the city have poured immunity if somebody ate a rotten tomato out of the
Yeah, we have.
or if they ended up throwing them somewhere. So just FYI, to let you know that there's some discussion, and it was brought to my attention, and it seemed like a nice, I'm not sure what the word is, neat thing to do in the community. So we're going to investigate it. Number 8 is McConnell Funeral Home parking lot. You have a letter, or at least a copy of a draft of a letter in your packet. You don't? I do. I thought we did not.
They're all in your packet.
Oh, they're all in my packet. I have all of your copies. Sorry. Here you go. This is regarding a discussion that myself, Jackie Davis, Simon Wally, our street director, had with Mr. Davis. It started out due to a discussion on what could the city do, or is there any responsibility for the city if you've been to a funeral in Greenwood, kind of funeral home, if you've ever parked in the parking lot, caddy corner from the funeral home, you know that it's
It's from you.
that is from me, yes, sir. It's a bit of a drop off and hazard to your car and all kinds of things when you're coming off of, not Denver, is that Denver? Denver Street into that parking lot. So Jackie approached us just to ask, and we went up and met with Simon and Jackie and looked at it and said, well, certainly this is our responsibility here, over here, because this is the right of way and here's the easement and all that sort of thing. So Simon took care of the immediate issue, I think, up there and kind of patched it up and did some work on it. The discussion led into, and it wasn't necessarily him asking me right away, it was just talking about the parking lot in itself, and I told him, I said, you know, I'm limited to what I can do for you here on this area, and that was kind of the limits of what Simon had done. And I said, you know, if it belonged to the city, you know, it would be a different story. And he kind of ended there, and he later called me, and he said, what if it did belong to the city? And I said, well, what's your proposal? And he said, what if we donated that property to the city with the understanding that the funeral home would have the right to utilize it as they do now during a funeral? And I said, I will write a proposal, bring it to the council, let them decide and see what they think. I haven't talked to Mr. Hammond. I don't think I've discussed this with him. I should give you a copy of that. Sorry. Okay. And those are the couple of things that after I had a couple of discussions with Mr. Davis, and those are just a couple of things that we discussed. It's, you know, I'm sure there's some questions on it. It's not, I mean, it's up to the council what they think. Certainly, I added we did the letter, the draft was done today. Jackie actually has not seen this letter, because I wanted you to look at it before anything. The only thing that came up a couple of things came up, and all things were talked about here in this letter. But one thing that came up is if the funeral home needed to build another building, they would be limited because we would now own their parking lot, or a parking lot that could be used, and I think we said it in here, for the parades and such and whatever, maybe a staging area to pick people up, take them up to the Freedom Fest or to the Fall Festival or whatever. If something ever happened again, ironically, to the existing building they're in, and they could not afford or could not wait, that they would literally have to build a building on another piece of property. And I said, well, obviously, if you're going to need that over to us, we would have to have the right to obtain the property where your building is now. And that's why and that may not be worded very well there, but that's what that means. And again,
It's not all making sense to me, that honorable.
I'm sorry?
That's not making sense.
It's not? Okay. If
So if they need to build a new funeral home, they would deed over to us the current property where the funeral home is, and we would then deed them that
we
parking
would swap
lot.
that. That's correct.
And we would now own a rundown funeral home, and they would own the parking lot, be able to build on it.
Right.
I would prefer that if they deed this property to us,
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
if they deed this parking lot property to us, the only agreement that we would want to have remain with them is whatever the agreement is for their use of the parking lot. And I think that needs to be in writing for some, whatever.
I just put down everything that
How
we
much
discussed.
it'll cost us to pave this parking lot?
But if something happens to their building, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Sure, that's fine. I just put everything down that he was.
What about the buildings on the parking lot now?
That building would remain. What this should say, and I don't know that I spelled it out very well, is that we would only pave up to about 8 feet from the front of that building. That building would stay there and it'd be theirs.
So they're gonna own the building and all we're gonna own is the parking lot.
Yeah.
Sure.
How much is it gonna cost us?
Do the curb and gutter on that north end and, let asphalt down, I'm guessing maybe at the most 20,000.
I mean, it says here in their website that Dignity Memorial is North America's largest provider of funeral, cremation, and crematory ambulatory services, and owns more than 2,000 funeral homes and the like. I would think that they could afford to pay their own parking lot, and they own it, and I'm not sure why we're getting into business necessarily of upgrading someone else's.
Well, you're not upgrading it, it's yours.
Well, but I mean, what, I mean, so then,
What do we need
so
parking
it would
lot
be
for?
selling on the idea that we need that parking lot, and if we need it, I mean, if the idea is that we're really gonna use it for parades and staging and.
People park there during the parade.
Yeah, and they would anyway. They would, they still would.
I mean, that's like, you know, practically, we're not gaining anything,
Yeah,
because the funeral home lets whoever
They
uses
don't,
it.
they don't keep you out of it, and
What you're gaining out of it is a better looking parking lot.
the
That's what
estate.
you're getting.
Exactly. On Main Street.
Is that worth $20,000 to make Main Street look prettier?
And we're assuming they're gonna leave it open to everybody if they pay themselves.
If we're gonna start
Sure,
beautifying
they're not
properties in the
walking.
city, I would rather see the money to beautify this buildings right across from the square.
I brought to you the proposal of the local business.
What?
Square.
I mean.
We have, well, and we have our own 2 lots that need to be paid. I mean, I'll be.
That's what I would agree, if it was really closer to the square, you know, I would probably hang that, but.
You know, when they had the car thing over here this week, everybody was parking over here and trying to cross, and then I thought people were gonna get killed crossing that.
Sure, we have that all the time.
Walking all over. If we were gonna spend money to pay, I'm kinda like y'all, we spend that money to pay the parking lot right here close to the square off Main Street, and then there's easy access when you close off the square.
There is another area in
You may
downtown.
do both, I'm not necessarily trying to shoot
No, no, no,
you
and
down, I'm just being
I'm not-
devil's advocate here.
Sure, and I'm not really not trying to sell it to you. I mean, I think it's not a horrible idea. I agree that you don't necessarily, you end up with a nice paid parking lot.
What's that lot worth? Crazy.
Couldn't tell you.
The property that they would deed, though, in theory, they would not deed.
Where the storage building
Just
is.
up to that.
Yeah. Where you park now?
Sure.
Yes. I don't know what it would be worth.
$20 grand.
Oh, they're bound to be now, I would think. There is another area too, and I'm not saying this should come into play or not, there is another parking area adjacent to what we own now on Main Street that I want to pursue in the same type of way that I haven't pursued it to that person yet.
What are they keeping in that storage building?
Coffins.
So what if we said we want property with the storage building, and we will lease that building to them for X amount of dollars a year, and then we eventually recoup our $20,000 or whatever it's gonna cost us? I feel better about that. Then we own at least the building, and we've got some sort of 10-year lease agreement where eventually we get our money back on the pavement, the parking lot. I mean, it seems like a weird deal to have whatever piece of property is where that building is, we're gonna have just, they're gonna own this little slice. They makes more sense for us to have the whole thing, and then maybe we set up some lease agreement with them for using the parking lot and using the storage building, and then.
The other deal would be for them to use their deep pockets and pay for the parking lot.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, but I mean, again, it's not like, I mean, I don't want to discount the idea, I might feel a little differently too, if this were truly a local owned business, there was an owner just kind of struggling to get along, but this is the Walmart of funeral homes apparently, and
I'll bet you're.
And, you know, and I don't know, it'd be a real stretch to say it's economic development or AP funded projects or whatever. I mean, you just,
If it was
it's
adjacent.
a slippery slope to go down to our getting into the property ownership and rental business and just all of
I
that.
don't know that slippery is all that, I mean, I'm not talking about this
Right.
specifically,
Right.
but there are communities that are.
Maybe it's the right thing to do.
I mean, on properties that are profitable.
Sure. I mean, I'm not trying to,
No, I don't want to be the salesman.
I don't know.
This is not me selling it. I mean, I try to convince my close.
I'd send, pay the lot next to, Doug's Floors or whatever, you
The
know,
ones we
parking
own,
right
the
there on
ones
the
we own
square.
already.
which was the original plan when
Yeah.
they tore down City Hall.
And I think we're still headed in that direction. We're just,
My thought is if I was a Methodist church and we paid that parking lot under the house, parking lot between my house and the west of the house, I'd be calling up saying, hey, I'll give y'all,
Like-
will y'all pay that parking lot, I'll give it to you, we're gonna build a new building, I want it back.
Beat it over. Well, now, remember, that's just a added.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, I mean,
Oh, sure. And really,
that's the can of worms that,
and the other thing is, if you start looking at properties around town that are
Dying.
privately owned, that need improving,
My sister and I have a parking lot you could pave if you need.
Can I make a motion to put this aside and move on? Okay. All right, thank
And
you.
here, the city's welcome to use it.
Do you want me to, you don't want me to ask about having the building?
tell them, put up the asphalt, we'll practice paving.
the only way I'd be interested, I
Well,
think, Mayor, is if there was some sort of agreement that we could get the building leased, that we could have the building too.
You want me to ask that?
Well, I'm not.
I mean, that's worse than just having a
Yeah,
little
but
bit of.
I agree.
if you really want to press ahead with the idea,
I'll
I
go back and
could
ask.
possibly be sold on it if
Okay.
we're not gonna, it's not gonna cost us anything.
My thought is if they'll pay for the asphalt, I mean,
I'd love to go back and offer that now that is an economic development tool, in my opinion.
if they pay for the asphalt, I don't see why
Well,
we
then,
couldn't.
and then we get practice. Is the major cost of that deal the asphalt and the paint, I guess?
I think it'd be a combination of the curb and gutter and asphalt equally. The curb and gutter is pretty expensive.
Well, when you say expensive, what is that one section, $2,500?
The labor for it would probably be, 15 to 2,000, and looking at another 1,000, 1,200.
So $3,000 for the curb on that one side, curb and gutter.
I bet they could break that up to add it.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's not, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go back with two options, with two building lease, blah, blah. And then an offer of if they buy materials, we could possibly get asphalt.
I just think we need to be careful about these kind of arrangements from somebody's gonna come in and say we're doing favors for
Sure.
Yeah.
somebody.
There's all sorts of
I mean, you go
businesses
pay my
on
parking lot,
these
and you'll hear from somebody.
Floyd's not involved in this.
All right, I'll go back with two options for this. Thank you. I know you're laughing, Tammy. Number 9 is a West Side Fire Station discussion, and I know this could be hours upon hours, but we have a little bit to report. Chief is gone, so we'll just move on. No, I'm just kidding. West Side Fire Station discussion is one that I'll just get a couple of things I'll get you up to date on. Is Stuart and Chief Ryan and I went before the school board didn't know if we were going to do a presentation. We were just asked to go back and on the council's behalf, if you will. Hopefully, we didn't step over our boundaries, but I'm constantly sometimes reminded that go out there and try to make a deal and we'll see what we can do. So the school, had the property in question, which is, I don't know if you have anything on this or not. You know where we're talking. This is the property in Westwood Elementary School, which lies very near, next to Liberty Drive, between Walmart and, or over on school side.
Is it all of the property?
It is I think it's 7.5 acres, Michael?
It's
Seven?
all the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's most of that property. Minus, if you take the trail and you move over 300 or 400 feet, that does not include that, right? It's more what's lying
But it goes from the road from Walmart to the school.
to Westwood.
It's highway front, it's not all the
Highway
way, it's
front.
all the way back to the trail.
And then it's highway frontage to
Yes.
somewhere near the track.
Yes. 7.5 acres. And they had it appraised, the school had it appraised, and I believe, I don't have it in front of me, and we talked about this a little bit before, but I believe the appraisal will come back at $360,000, give or take. On your behalf, we offered $150 for that property. We believe 2.5 acres is out of the floodplain, usable, not necessarily shovel ready, but kind of
out of the floodplain and usable, the rest of it's floodplain, which is usable. You have to do, obviously, their work. So we offered 150. We went to the school board meeting to see what they thought about that, although we didn't say, don't forget, we never discussed an amount in public with the school board. We just went to kind of pitch it to them again a little bit of our desire for that property. I know the fire department as a whole, I've been told, and certainly the board or committee of the fire department has made it very clear that that is the most desirable location. And so we're pursuing that. We didn't get an answer at the school board meeting. I mean, I knew we wouldn't. That's not kind of normally how they work. They asked a few questions. Most of their questions were more about the road that we suggested. It was Stewart and I, and also there were firemen, 5 or 6 firemen there. That we talked about the road that is a private drive, according to officially now, according to Mr. Bell, correct? Sadler Drive or Sadler Road is a private drive coming off of Denver Street over to Westwood. And it curves in, it goes into the school. What we would propose and did propose is if we built a fire station in that area, we would open up another road or continue that road over to Liberty Drive and make it all the way through, running parallel to 71. The first comment, if you will, from the school board and or I guess the comment was, what if the school board or what if the school district didn't want that opened up as a road? And I mean, I wasn't there to argue by any means. I said, well, we would certainly work with you and want to make sure this works out for the best for everybody. We understand that the school has issues with kid drop off and pick up and bus routes and that sort of thing, so we want to work with you. The other question regarding such a road was, would the city maintain that road? And I went out on a little bit of a limb and I said, certainly, if we opened up a new section of the road and made yours part of that public road, we would maintain all of that road as a city street. And again, not a lot of back and forth, just more questions from the board. And that was it. There was no decision made, or there was a little bit of discussion, but it was all good, friendly discussion, and just nothing about the price or anything. I called Mr. Cecil the next day to ask him what the process would be, how long that could possibly take, and he informed me, as I kind of expected, that could take many months, to quote him, because the school board does not only meets once a month and they don't make decisions in between. That's how they work. But by the time questions were asked back and forth, that it could take quite a while. And he in return asked me how fast we would like an answer, and I said yesterday, the fire department is ready to act upon something, or at least make a decision. The importance of trying to make a decision on the property was, and I told him, was if this is not obtainable by the city, whether it be due to the price or we just couldn't negotiate it, we would need to move on and find another spot and get on down the road with this process. And he understood that completely, and finally he just asked, he said, so how quick could you act? And I said, if you tell me that you accept our approval or bid or offer, I think with council's approval, it may take us, I can bring you a check in a day or two. So with that said, he said, let me see what I can do and find out, get questions in as fast as we can. And he called me back yesterday and said he would like to meet with whoever wanted to come. And so I had scheduled a meeting Thursday morning at 8 o'clock with Stewart, Chief Bryan, and myself with Mr. Cecil. He said he had a few questions or comments from the board to relay back to us. So I would say any councilman and or fireman that might want to attend that meeting will probably be invited. I think he did.
When is that meeting?
Thursday morning at 8 o'clock at his office. So that's where it stands. I think he understood the urgency that not an emergency, but the urgency that we want to know facts, just so we can, because I know if you don't ask, things get bogged down and you may not know for 2 or 3 years. So that's what my part of that discussion is, to inform you of what I mean. Yes, sir.
One thing that we've had some other side conversations, you do need to take a formal offer to them in writing, to the school board, to that will get
To
your answer,
establish.
that will get your answer, at least on their agenda,
And that-
to say yes or no, or counteroffer where you need to go.
Okay, so that may be what he's gonna form.
And that, you guys may
Okay, that
talk
makes
more about in
sense.
depth, but that's something that's been.
So we probably need to wrap that up. If you want to do that, we probably need to do that this evening.
$150,000?
I mean, that's the,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with- do we have the cash in the bank for that?
I believe the fire department does, yes.
And how much money do we have in our city sales and use tax fire? I know Ken's not here, so
About that.
about
But I
100,000.
think it's like, a little over that, to be honest with you.
Charlotte's reports that she sent us this morning, the balance sheet showed 230 something thousand check.
Now, we'll,
And we paid for everything on this building every
Paid
year.
for it. It's paid for.
This, the redo on this
Addition.
building is paid for. So we're gonna have about, we're gonna have about 2.5 million over the next 10 years to put towards the new fire station. Well, but I mean, how much?
now,
I'm
no,
still trying to figure out where we're gonna get the money to build it.
The estimated balance at the end of the year for fire checking is $162,000 after all your expenditures that you budgeted for.
62.
Yes. The city sales and use tax fire has estimated $460,000.
I mean, if this is where everybody wants to have the fire department, I'm okay with this going to buy this piece of property if we've got 150,000. I just want to make sure we understand how much money we got left. And there may not be a lot of money left over for much else this year, certainly, and then moving forward, trying to figure out how we're going to pay for the fire department.
I think some discussion is going towards in the direction of a proposed bond on the existing three-quarter cent sales tax, whether it be just for fire or all three departments. I don't know if that's yet to be, I mean, I know there's nothing, a lot of discussion.
It's been discussed up here about, doing some stuff with the streets, and then doing some stuff with fire, and then just let that tax pay it out like we're doing with the police department doing, so. There's a lot of options on the table, it's just we're trying to get the property secured, that's
I would say too, and I'm not at liberty necessarily to discuss details on it, but there are, and certainly because the fire department needs to know this, and I haven't even got a chance to talk to the chief about it, but there is other property that, and I guess as soon as I can discuss it in length and publicly, I would want to, so you know what's out there for you. One, and I think it is a great place for it. I think it's ideal. I don't know about the circle of service and all that. I mean, I know the fire department knows that for sure. But
it's important.
It's very important. But I don't have to remind you. I know you're all smart enough to know, and Michael can probably elaborate more. Certainly can more than I can. 2.5 acres, quote, give or take, is buildable. And I don't know that it's buildable now. I don't know. The service road that you would need to go with it. I'm not trying to.
I mean, is that piece of property, have you had discussions with them about what kind of department they're wanting, what kind of building they're wanting to put out there? Is that a piece of property that will accommodate that on the 2.5 acres that aren't in the floodplain? Are we signing up for a piece of property that we're gonna have to make $500,000 improvements on to get it buildable for what we want structure-wise? I mean, there's some questions I think that are legitimate.
Like Mayor said, there's about 2.5 acres of the 7 that is currently above the floodplain, and you could basically immediately go out there and build a building on. The soil conditions, I have no idea. We've not done any kind of geotechnical test for that area. That'd be one of the first things you want to do to find out about the actual cost, and that could be a stipulation of your, buying the property that you do a geotechnical test, and if it's suitable soil, then you can go there. I mean, those are questions you can't answer without some additional investigation.
I'm still trying to understand the urgency a little bit, because are there a bunch of people out there interested in buying this piece of property from the school? Is this something that, and if we got it today, I mean, how much do you think the fire stations, we've had these discussions before, before, how much is this fire station gonna cost to build?
What we looked at was Sturt initially, and when we did the fire department study, we did actually two buildings together, and we had the fire department portion between 2.5 to 3.5 million. And they're not really giving me any detail yet. I mean, other than
That's
so
just
they
the
was so many
building, that's
bays.
not talking about roads.
But that was,
and things to
you
do.
say that was with.
Well, we had a scheme, if you guys remember, we did a
Yeah.
study, and we started with a scheme where both buildings were together, and they shared some common spaces in between, and so that was the number that we had for that building at that time, and that's been 5 years ago now, probably.
That's gonna commit, that's a bond that would commit 100% of the city sales and use tax fire. That leaves no money for equipment or trucks or fire hoses or new outfits or anything. I mean, that's 100% of that tax going towards the new fire department if you can get it for 2.5 million.
Lee, I think what the urgency is about the property, and it could be another piece of property, it's the area. There's a certain radius that the fire trucks have to cover to make the ISO ratings stay the way they need to, and the west side needs covered. So you can't just pick up and say, oh, we'll buy this piece of property over here, because when you put it closer, it's too close to the other stations. So it's one of the pieces of property that fits that criteria and was available. It's close to the highway, and if they can get the, it's estimated at 230, so if they can get it for a good price now, it seems, a reasonable investment, because you could always
Even if
hang
you
on that
don't
property
build
if you don't build
you
it.
don't build the fire department for 10 or 15
Right,
years.
somebody comes down the
This
road.
is still a two-piece of property.
Right, still in a couple years
So-
now, if Casey's wants to come in and build
So-
a gas station right next to there, you could just sell a piece of property.
And so if we're, as long as we vet the property to the extent that we can, as long as we make the sale contingent on vetting the property to the extent we can to know that it's a buildable, viable piece of property, whatever testing we had to do, so that we don't buy a piece of property we can't actually build on.
Doc, this is the thought process behind it from being on the personnel board. You're right, it's gonna take a lot of money to build a station, but you gotta have property first. And to reiterate what Michael just said, the fire service is unique. If you look at Fort Smith, their stations are strategically placed, every one of them, all 11 of them. I mean, if you look at 10 to 11 and 11 to 6, they're all strategically placed to meet that circumference for the ISO. Because that's why they built Station 11, is because if they hadn't, Chaffee Crossing was growing so much, their ISO was fixing to fall through the floor. And that's why they passed that bond. We're not looking at building tomorrow, but like you said, getting that property secured, because there's stuff, we're growing, according to the whatever, 25, whatever, we're gonna have 40,000 people, and that ain't gonna do nothing it's gonna do nothing every year to get more expensive. We look at the property area where the Dollar Tree's going in, and our thought process was, well, if we can get that bought, because 2.5 acres of it is usable, we put a sign up that says, future home for Fire Station 3. Whether we build it or whether we don't, because the money's not there, we've got that property secured, because that is the ideal spot for our circumferences from Station 1 and Station 2. So, the thought of building, it may be 10 years before we can build the station, but we have the property secured. And that was our,
I'm okay with
our process.
I'm okay with this, getting a good deal on a piece of land out on West Greenwood, as long as we have a contingency there that we can do some testing and assure that the 2.5 acres are.
And I guess the urgency part of it is that, there's been several people look at that corner property, birds out there, gonna do this and do that. And if that starts growing out there, that stuff's just gonna start going through the roof, and so we're just trying to get that latch on it so we'd have it to fall back on, like Michael said, and if we don't, it's not feasible to build on. Like you said, the soil samples, it may cost $1 million to do the dirt work.
Yeah.
The other thing too, that is the, I'm saying only 2.5 is usable, and that's what I'm saying is the footprint that's currently above the floodplain. All the other property can have stuff put on it. You can store equipment, anything you want to store up there, you can go store it. You just can't build a building on it without elevating it above that elevation. So as far as, parking trucks and equipment, and, when's the last time that we've seen that area underwater? It would be an event, I think you'd have time to prepare and move anything that you thought was going to get in the way, it's not like you could use all 7.5 acres.
What kind of money does it cost for us to do this soil testing? Do we do the other testing? Is that pretty much standard stuff?
It's pretty much a standard, we would just need to kind of decide in that area and have them do a couple test holes. I mean, I think you're probably talking
And that's the only
$2,500 to
thing, that's the only real
$3,000.
thing we would need to do with regard to testing the property to make sure it can be built.
Yeah, you would hire somebody like data testing or, I think there you guys in Building and Earth. They do geotechnical testing, and we do that on every project that we do. They come in beforehand, that way we kind of know how deep to design the footings, what the soil bearing capacity is and things like that. If you're going to build a station, you're going to need that information.
Mike, and that testing you're talking about, Mike, I'm sorry, that testing you're talking about would reveal, and I know it would, all things. I'm reminded that the trail that we put in out there was deeply undercut to provide just a walking trail. And again, I'm not trying to put a damper on that property, just so the test will, that would provide that information, correct?
What we would probably do is, and you say, can we answer everything? No. Because
Right.
we're going to drill a hole that's 6 inches around in about 4 or 5 locations.
Right.
So in between those holes, there could be a
Right.
bad spot where you have to take
Sure.
out an extra 10 feet of material.
Yeah,
There's no way we could do
No.
it ourselves, but you could make a reasonable guess if this hole and this hole show the same soil section, that it's probably similar in between. And that's
How
what
deep?
we do on all buildings.
How deep does that go?
They'll dig one pit and then they'll drill the other holes. They'll go down until refusal. So they'll dig them and they'll drill them as deep as they need to go. And we'll know. And then there may be a point where they get so far and if they're not getting anything, they'll say, hey, we drilled 50 feet.
So-
we haven't hit anything.
Yeah, so if they-
might not want this piece of property.
Yeah, as in the trail, and I'm only going from experience, the trail that Mr. Davidson built for us over there just kept, I went over there, I don't know how many times we went back, we're not building a highway here, we're building a.
And the other thing too, and as far as just a reference, when we built the school that's there, our company did, I may have the old soils test from that building, at least we could get a point of reference, but I'd have to go back to.
And obviously,
there's some files if I can find
Yeah,
it.
obviously it was buildable there.
I don't
That's what I feel pretty confident that Walmart and, the school is in between of that piece of land. You know, that I think it'd be pretty
I
fine.
think we're gonna find is probably the piece that's above is okay. The pieces that are in the lower areas are gonna have some less suitable soils because they've had years of settlement.
Pending all of what we're saying right here, while we're just, we're making stuff up here. 7.5 acres is a whole lot bigger than what we need, obviously, for a fire station. Is it true, emergency services can build in floodplain? Obviously, you have to build up, right? It has to be buildable, depending what you're talking about right now.
Oh, you're talking about this.
What I'm getting at is, if there's 2.5 acres of floodplain, they can't sell that to anybody.
I can get that.
Theoretically, right? They can't sell that to anybody other than emergency services.
No, you can build up that floodplain.
Build up,
They can sell, not for.
Anybody can?
Yes.
I think so.
The floodway.
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 There's a, yeah.
Floodway
There's actually
can.
2 different sections. I don't have the map with me because I didn't know we're talking about it.
Yeah.
But there's a portion of it that's in the floodway and a portion of it that's in the floodplain. And you have to be elevated above the floodplain.
So the floodway is not
Not buildable.
buildable.
You can build it, you just have to do remediation in other areas.
You just-
Well,
this building.
What I'm getting at is, we don't need 7.5 acres. Realistically, is there, in all of these back and forth conversations, let's look at all of the angles and options of, what if we took this 2.5, 3 acres, whatever.
Right.
Well, I don't know, we're in that property.
Answer that question. The problem is that the built-up section is right in the middle.
Center of it.
It's right in the center of the property, so they're not gonna wanna give you a swath out of the middle and leave 2 little tiny parts.
Well, but I'm saying that we buy the less desirable piece of property, for lack of a better way to say that, right? Or they give us the undesirable piece of property at a very good rate. They can't give it to you. it.
No.
Right?
And I think that's
The
where you're
the appraisal on, what I'm getting at, the appraisal on that flood plain piece
It's
should be
included in
pretty
the
cheap.
total. It's included in the total. The value of the property is $230,000. I believe that was right around 230.
For the whole thing.
Entire property.
Oh,
Entire 7
not the appraisal.
The appraisal.
Appraisal was over three.
Three, was it three? Okay.
Three.
Three points.
Something.
But there's a lot of language in there that lets you beat and batter that to death, where actually,
Well, in this, yeah, exactly. There were some odd comps, there were some odd comparisons, I thought, a little unusual. Is that what you're talking about?
yeah, I mean, it's,
They were comparing, I don't want to beat their appraisal up either, but, you know, but that's,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, if this is 7.5 acres, your appraisal
is
encompasses all of
the whole
that.
thing.
We say, look, I just want this 2.5 over here, this 3
It's in the
here,
floodplain.
That's,
whatever.
that is what.
What's this 3 worth? I don't care about the whole thing, we just want to buy this corner over here or whatever. What, you know, you look at that, figure out, where on this property would we want to build this station? Well, that's really all we really want to buy. Are you willing to sell me just the corner?
And I can't put words in for the school board or.
No, I mean,
fire
I'm
department.
just saying, and it's,
Sure.
as these conversations go on, we need to talk about all
It
these
seems
things.
to me because of the lay of the land, and man, it's something we need to get more in there, that you would want to, for future, anything future, maybe not a fire station, maybe other city entities or expanding station, you would want to acquire all of that section of property and not split it in half, if you could get a good price. If, you know, you may go back with the offer of what you're thinking, and they may not accept it, I don't have any idea about that.
Sure.
They may
Yeah,
come back
this
with
may
an
all
amount for the entire thing, or they may come back with something, well, we will only sell you half, or at that amount, we would only sell you this much property. We haven't made any, that far into the negotiations with them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm no engineer, and I know it sounds, I've done it too, so, hey, let's just extend this road from here back over to Liberty Drive and connect all these dots. But,
And
you know, the reality is that road is gonna be right there at that gas station and the intersection of 71. That's a squirrely connection right there. So how can you really connect those roads,
Yeah, we have.
traffic wise? I mean, there's a lot of.
There's a
Like I
lot.
said, I didn't know we were
There is.
gonna talk about this, but we already had some exhibits showing all of that, how it all lays in, where the fire department was set, where the floodplain sets, and how the road comes through.
And there is
To the-
a light to be placed at that intersection.
Well, I think that, you know, Steve was talking about earlier with James Ford and water, sewer and stuff, and he said that, you know, again, fire suppression is a major, you know, thing to consider as far as economic development. And I can't say, us just putting a sign out there, a future home of substation 3, or station 3 out here, but I think that, you know, it feasibly could go a ways to, you know, further enhance economic development along 71, and that corridor right there.
I'm a little anxious about making this decision without Stuart here to reassure me that there's not any pressing fire department needs in the next.
Prior to,
Yeah, I mean, because Charlotte, if I understood you right, we're fixing to spend all the 10,000 of what we have on the $150,000 offer, is that right?
if they were accepted.
Yeah, on a fire station.
Yeah, so, I mean, it'd be nice to hear Stuart say, we don't have any other pressing expenses this year that are gonna need. I mean, I would be okay with this spending $150,000. The fire chief says we can afford to do that, and he understands there's no more money.
Well, I just know that was kind of, as part of the, sales tax, you know, part of that was that we were going to pursue a station 3.
Well, sure, but from a budgetary standpoint, you know, Stuart pretty regularly comes up here and asks to buy stuff with the city sales and use tax money, equipment and stuff that y'all need, that he says you need. If we go and write a check Thursday for $150,000, there's no more money in city sales and use tax fire for the rest of the year. It's all.
And I think he was he realized that when he and the mayor went aboard, in front of the school, that he was prepared for that.
Absolutely, I feel very confident. I mean, Absolutely. And I'm not saying he won't come in and ask you for something else to do something different, but he is definitely in favor of this offer. But I think it's important to what Michael was talking about, is scheduling or, you know, on contingent of the soils, you know, you don't necessarily, just using an example, but you're not gonna buy and pay for it until you know it's buildable, I think it's fair to say. I would say, and I guess I will throw this out onto the table, just as a, for your sake, there is other property, and just so you don't act too hastily, and I'm not saying you're going to tonight, I think what you're doing is great, I think it's important to, and I may know Thursday afternoon or Thursday at 9 o'clock, I may know that the school board says, no, it's 350, period, or we'll take your 150, or something in between. But there is other property, and I'm not saying it's as I do, there is other property that could very well be obtained, either donated, the property, or the material that would need to be, the dirt work donated, one or the other on other property.
I don't know what you're saying, but I would remind you of our donated piece of property at the lake that wasn't.
Yes.
To build the station on.
Absolutely,
So that's-
absolutely.
I want to make sure that you're.
Absolutely. The same, it would have to be looked at with the same precaution that you're doing this piece of property. You go, okay, just because something's free, it may cost $1 million to make it buildable. Absolutely. You would need to know that. Just only to say that I would want you to, and I can.
And I would kind of reiterate what I said while I was sitting down, is I think that what's pressing, and maybe Mr. Cecil will provide more information Monday, but I think you're not going to get from A to B unless you actually make an offer to the school board in writing, something that Mike needs to do, and then they can go back and say, we accept 150, we counter offer for 200 or 500 or whatever. There's a lot of talking without anything that they can't act on. So that was my point on that. But the piece of property, as far as itself, it's a good piece of property visually, and it's section of it is above the floodplain, but we've not done any soils investigation, which would be something I think you want it to be, the deal to be contingent on.
And I think you made a really good point on, if you did have 7 acres, 7.5, whatever it is, 7 acres, and you've got only 2.5 usable now, even though you got to build, make something, you've got 5 acres or 4.5, whatever it is, at a later date. Again, if the price is right, and blah, blah, blah. I always feel myself a lot simple, blah, blah, blah. Lot to take in.
And so, are you saying, Michael, that for this Thursday meeting, that it would be very beneficial if we did have a formal offer to lay in front of Mr. Cecil?
I would make that recommendation, but I can't, that needs to come from Mr. Handy.
Yeah, I would think that would be what you would want to do, is have some authority anyway.
Thank you.
Would the council consider that as that needs to be
Well, I think we formally ought to vote on it.
On the offer amount?
Yes, sir.
Doug, well, this is my thought.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of unanswered questions, and I mean, even being part of some of that is there's still unanswered questions, but why don't you see what is going to be presented to you on Thursday, and then we can go from there.
Okay.
Because you may have all the answers you need Thursday.
Well, I think we have a good enough relationship with all these people that
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, go and.
I understand legally final, we're gonna have to put something in writing, but I don't.
But I think Thursday, you know, I mean, we've got a day where there's a good discussion on it, but I think it'd be best just to fill them out Thursday and see what he's got to allow, and then if since that's what you need to do, then we can go from there.
I guess what I worry about is that, we're putting it off another month, basically. I mean,
Well, but I think, like Daniel said, I mean, if they know that we're serious, I mean, we're not gonna have to, have to worry about personally. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, Doug,
Sell that.
Doug and Chief need to do their thing on Thursday, and then, but I think the mayor understands the work, I mean, on our part.
I'm good, I mean, that's certainly.
The understanding that they do, say, yeah, that, you know, he may talk in your lap, say, yeah, we'll take it, and say, well, you know, we're gonna have to have some soil tests done and stuff to officially say, yeah, you know.
Well, like Dr. Lee said, we can always, you call it a special session if we need to.
Let's do that.
Okay?
Okay. So we'll make a meeting Thursday and we'll get back with you.
What time is the meeting again?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock Thursday morning? And
At Mr. Cecil's office.
and Councilman can be there if they want?
Excuse me, he did not say yes. I'm sure that'll be fine. I think I asked him if it was specific to certain items. He said, whoever you want. So, you got it. Okay, good discussion. Number 10.
Yes, the A word.
Sonny and I have been discussing this ever since our last attempt at annexation, and I don't think we've ever stopped talking about it in one way or the other. And I know it's on everybody's mind. My 2 cents real quick as I can be, is I think we need to get back up on the horse a little bit on this, and not a little bit, completely. I think it's important to our economic development. I don't, what the good news is, Mr. Bell has already got most of that information if we want to go in the direction that we went in before. Again, council's pleasure, of course, what all you encompass or not encompass. I think it's very important, as I think most of you do, or all of us do, that we and there is urgency, I think, as we grow and we're going fast, is that we look at what I would have thought, if I drove into Greenwood, Arkansas, didn't know from Adam anything, I would have think from 71 all the way into Greenwood. That's right, that's side of 10. I mean, why wouldn't it be? And of course, we know it's not. So I think it's important that we get back up on that and look at those development corridor, not so much out and around and about and dragging all houses, but trying to get that business corridor, if you will. 10, I would 10 spur, and then whatever we can manage to do on 71. My 2 cents. So, open it up for Mr. Bill.
Yeah, my suggestion would be to, the north side of, 10 Spur to 71, up north on 71 to the property just north of the rock building that's been there, you know, the entrance to Shadow Lake, and that long flat lot past there, and then stop on that side. On the other side, go up past the old service station that's been out of business and in business, and the guy that has all the different stuff. The next road, start there and come down 71, all the way past Highway 10, where the machine shop and you know, Rudy's or whatever it is. Okay, that's our west corridor. We've already got to the east corridor. But then turn and do the south side of 10, all the way back in where Spectrum is. And that way we would control 10, 71, and 10 spur. Like I said, 71 would go up and one side would break off and the other would continue on another block or so.
Basically the same area we've been annexed before, with the exception of cutting it short on the going north on 71.
Well, you know, before we were starting at Main Street, we came all the way over to 71, including Shadow Lake.
No, I'm just talking about from the corridor standpoint.
Yes.
We had it
Well,
sectioned off in about 6 different sections.
a little bit shorter on the east side, Lee, not up the Shirley Walters property.
Yeah, I know.
Like I said, there's that rock building and that long straightaway there that, you know, it's obvious it's commercial.
Rock building is the
Stonehaven.
yes.
What is
Stonehaven.
Stonehaven?
Just
Yeah, it's that long stretch right after Stonehaven. And then on the other side, like I say, start up there, and I can't tell you the name of the road there, but it starts there and comes down.
We're all going to Bear Hall on the
No, it's on this side of
This
there.
side.
Hidden Valley.
Just
Hidden Valley, okay.
Hidden Valley Road.
Well, yes, go out and make a plan and let's go
But, you know, and I just, the mayor and I talked and,
Yeah.
you know,
I remember when I tried to, if you recall, my conversation before was I was ready to exclude Shadow Lake before. I'm okay with, we need that commercial corridor is what we really need, Shadow Lake.
okay, do you agree as far as my suggestion on the south, on 71 down past the machine shop, and then 10, south side of 10, all the way.
You going all the way down to Hendricks on the south side?
On the south side, no, it would go to the bridge, you know, where the bridge goes over the creek there. So basically, that's where it would stop. Rudy's is right in that area. But then.
We just want to be annexed.
Yeah,
Rudy's got, when he goes all.
Why not go on to Hendricks?
we can, like I said, that would take in Rudy's.
I think we would, I'd like to see you go tender.
How about we do this? How about tonight, since we've already had a lot of discussion, I want to hear what you have to say.
I don't know if it matters or anything. I would like to annex it from all the way to my business and where, my business is where the old Sabre Dog Market is, on the Rico Company, car lot. I got a bunch of businesses in one location, and we're starting to pay in sales tax. In addition, you have a gas station across the street that's paying sales tax, the oil loop's paying sales tax. We have a bunch of people paying sales tax right there, so to me, it would make sense to annex all the way to that point. Because it's 14904 Highway 71, it's directly across the street from the gas station and the G Lynn community. The finish line. I mean, the facts are, you don't annex.
All live on Nancy Road, basically.
The facts are, you don't annex it, Fort Smith's going to, and as a local Greenwood resident, I'd rather have my sales tax money go towards Greenwood instead of Fort Smith.
So you're across the 71 from the service station here?
Yes, sir. And as far as response time, at any point in time, I have $500,000 for repossessed vehicles on the backside of my property. And so if somebody tries to steal a vehicle or whatever, Greenwood's going to respond 4 to 5 times faster than the county or state highway police department.
So there you go.
Go get him.
And, I mean, we need to.
What's the name of that?
Yeah, I would just, I think we can all agree in favor of looking at it, come back with a map and proposal maybe.
Okay.
And move forward. If you're just looking
That's
for-
kind of what that's what we were talking about. We want the council to tell me, that's what we want to do. And
I understand
I'll
the
start there.
delicacies of trying to be considerate of how far up 71 we go towards Fort Smith, but the right thing to do is to go all the way to where he's talking about. And whoever we need to talk to or visit with, whatever groundwork we need to lay with the owners along those corridors to try to assuage any concerns, we ought not be afraid to press on or north.
You want both sides?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't have to go deep. It can be shallow, it can be frontage.
You know,
But I
for
think we
years,
ought
Fort
to
Smith said
discuss.
they were, that they were.
I know there are residents along that east side of 71 as you go north past Stonehaven that have been anxious in the past about being annexed into Greenwood. But I think a lot of their anxiety is about property deeper into deeper to the east and not frontage. I think if it were approached the right way, why not take frontage all the way into Gentle Inn where the finish line is? What he's saying is absolutely correct. There's no doubt the finish line and all those businesses are going to be part of Fort Smith if they're not part of Greenwood. And I think if we approach it the right way with residents along that corridor, I think they'll understand, possibly, that
You're not all of them are going to be understanding.
no, but if we're trying to just limit it to frontage, I think that makes it a little different.
Sonny, you think with the fire department going away, Jenny Lynn, that makes the discussion easier now than it was?
I think somewhat, because they know that they're either getting their service lands from White Rock, White Bluff, and Greenwood Rural. Again, just like this gentleman said there, if somebody has a fire there, Jenny Lynn, we're going to be the first ones there. Always have been, just.
Well, let's not get too, let's not lose focus on corridors. I think that's the most important thing, and we probably have the best chance of having success. And we start looking at Shadow Lake and all of them in, and you're going to get lots of stuff.
My suggestion was
we didn't have anybody really, very few people excited about coming up and talking to us last time through these corridors.
Well, last time we did it by parcel. Now, my suggestion this time would be do it by yardage, 300 foot.
I would encourage y'all to, I don't know, do we need to put together another annexation committee for something like this, or just one of those?
I think that, we've already
I would
gone through
encourage
that.
you and the mayor to seek out any individuals that you thought might have anxiety about that, and be more proactive in
I'm planning on
discussing and
going.
negotiating with them.
I'm planning on taking that new city vehicle
Yeah.
and seriously, and visiting every,
Yeah.
I don't think that we're gonna benefit by having 65 study sessions like we had last
No, I
time. We've
agree.
already done all this legwork and stuff, and here's the deal, if Fort Smith's coming this way, they're gonna send them a nice little letter that says welcome to Fort Smith.
Yeah.
We're not gonna negotiate shit with them, I mean, like we do. We lay all these napkins out there, make all these cookies and do all this stuff, I mean, that should leave it, get it drawn up, get it fixed, get it done, put it out there, this is the way it's gonna be, A or B.
And I think since we're doing corridor,
Right.
we're just looking at commercial aspects of it, I think
Because
that's
if we
what
don't
we
do
need.
this, you're gonna make the curve there at Suicide Curve from Pittsburgh getting on 71, there's gonna be a sign up there that says welcome to Fort Smith. Bottom line. So, we don't, there's no options. This is what we're gonna do, and put it in stone, and us up here, we gotta stand behind it and move forward with it, and what it is what it is.
What are your
You're
thoughts
not
on
gonna please everybody.
What are your thoughts on the 300 foot depth instead of the car?
I like that, the 300
The
foot
only
depth.
problem you get, you're splitting lots.
Yeah, but we do that all the time.
An annexation?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that says that,
Appreciate my backyard.
the whole, Daniel's perfect example. The old tin building out, on Coke Street, the far corner of it is not, the rest of it is.
It's about the old farm ranch thing.
Yeah,
Well, listen, can we all agree that we want to press along and come back with updates and got it good enough for now, we can.
Yeah, if you can come back with that map of showing us how it's all laid out, just like you were saying, Sonny, with the 300 foot depth,
Okay.
I think that'd be great.
I think that's the first big step.
Okay, good.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Number 11 has been handled, bid approval. Number 12, police department, Chief.
I thought I'd have a resolution tonight. I went to talk to finance and express that's what I need, and she said, okay, and I don't have a resolution tonight, but we were approved for a grant to put the computers back in the carbon printers. The urgency for us is everybody's going to it, and the court is leaning that way, and eventually will be that way where they require us to do it. So we applied for a grant. Today we actually received it. Part of that grant is you agree to pay the install fee, which is $9,000. And of course, we'd have to have air cars again, which I don't have a cost for that yet, but it's something we had before. This route, we don't have to pay Fort Smith PD's maintenance cost, $15,000 we're paying every year. But streamlined doing accident reports, you just basically put their IDs into the reader, and the form fills the forms. Now everything's by, handwrite stuff in, or sometimes causes mistakes. They tend to write down something they don't understand later, but they'll reduce the mistakes on the accident reports, obviously, speed up the time they get completed and back on the road, and also same with citations and warnings. If anyone's been pulled over by state police, that's what they're using now. And the county also, I spoke with the sheriff, he said he'd give us their pad system, so we actually could get calls on the computer like they do in their cars. So you can see the amount there, equipment and all. Like I said, they called us today, and actually, they did in the beginning tell us they weren't going to cover the taxes either. Got a phone call today, they said they changed it, and we won't have to pay the tax that's in there, so it'll just be the install fee.
So the only thing would be out of your budget from the $9,000 to install, everything else is from the grant?
Yes.
And we have that money, so you just need you're wanting a resolution that allows you to spend the grant money, and then where's the you need
That
to.
from cash and balance, and would need it moved into vehicle maintenance.
So I'm okay approving that pending the resolution, because we've kind of done that before, have we not? I'll make that motion.
So you want to bring in whole grant, which is how much?
The whole grant is $42,390.94.
Minus this 9,000?
All, yes, that's the part that we would need.
So the grant, yeah, okay.
We're supposed to go down and pick up the equipment, so basically we just need the,
42,390 is the whole expenditure,
we just need the install.
yeah. And 9,000 coming out of vehicle maintenance.
Out of cash into.
Yeah. Vehicle maintenance stuff.
Yes.
You got that, Sean?
Yes.
Use the hands and go on, that's right. I'll second, only my second, I'd sure love to.
Have a motion to second?
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Terry?
Yes.
Ms. Terry?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, I believe, unless I miscalculated, as I do often, that's all the items on the new business. Department reports and questions from council. I know some of the department heads are here. You wish to hear from anybody?
I have a question for the police chief.
Okay.
I was just looking through your report and it just, on the training part, you were talking about range qualification and just brought my, back to my attention about the shooting range. Have we ever got anywhere with the association, who's doing what up there? And we talked about this a while back.
Danny Sozi is the one that's over it. He self-proclaimed himself as president of the Range Association.
After the county gave all the paperwork to them, there was another officer that previously was the range president, and after I approached him, he got really disgruntled, which caused him to hand it over to the other officer. I think what it's going to boil down to, and I'm talking to Mike, is that we go out there, cut all the locks off, weld up the open spaces, put our own lock on there, and take back the property. I didn't want it to come to that. When I tried to reach out to the last chief, he said he wasn't involved in it, so it's kind of like an officer doing his own thing that isn't sanctioned by the Portsmouth Police Department. It's our property. The association has been around for a long time. The county's kind of dropped out of being involved in it, and basically Fort Smith took over, who wasn't even the original party, one of the original parties in the association.
And I visited with them as well, and I got the same story. Splash County Sheriff's Department said they don't have anything to do with it. I talked to Fort Smith Police Department, and nobody really acknowledged anything there that's not really even technically ran by them. I think it's by the self-proclaimed individual that Chief identified. So I agree with his recommendation. Go out there, cut the locks off, and we take control back of it. Don't argue about it, they can come to our council meeting and explain to us why they believe that they own it.
I was trying to be nice about it when working out.
I don't care.
And I found out there was concealed carry classes going on out there, and there's no insurance, so there's a lot of things out
I
there.
still want something to happen that's gonna come back on the city and get us in the middle of something.
Yes, we were out there the other day, and there's just two people showed up and said they were there to shoot. I didn't know who they were.
Yeah, we need to take control of that.
The only issue is there's something faulty wrong. It's not a good range.
I wasn't gonna bring it up, but the mayor and someone else ran through the qualification, and someone else that's out there, beat him in the qualification.
I was basically told I could be.
Tammy.
I was basically told I could be a cheerleader.
Here's
And that's all.
the way I foresee that, is that if we're gonna take it over, we need to make it usable for you guys. I mean, and if somebody wants to use it, they're gonna have to come through you, and then we as a council, we set a policy, since it's a city property, to where, I mean, why not recoup some of our fees out of that, these other departments wanna use it? You know
I
what
don't
I'm
know
saying?
who's paying dues and who's, there is a checking account involved in the association and some property up there as far as lawnmowers, and maybe Mike can direct how that's gonna go, but I was just hoping the transition would be smooth.
I understand that, and whoever's junk that is, or wherever they want to come get it, that's fine, but I think as us, as a city, if we're gonna take it over, and you guys are gonna use it, we need to maybe do a little bit of work with it, and then if they want to use it, that's fine and dandy, but it's gonna be, it's kind of like Fort Smith, it's kind of like Fort Smith's training center, they got from the fire department. They'll let you use it, but you gotta have a representative of the department there while you're there, you use it, because it was no, tax dollars, but I'm just saying, that way you can recoup targets or something like that, if they're gonna use it, but they have to have somebody from the PD willing to be out there with it. Whether it's state, I mean, I understand, I know they all be boys and.
Well, another thing is, and I don't know if that's being done anymore, but part of the county getting involved in it was that they would go out there and grade it every once in a while.
Well, we got plenty of nice equipment, Simon's got a whole bunch. Tractors, bulldozers, backhoes.
And I don't know what our stake is. in
All that
property
good
out there.
stuff. We got trailers and all of them.
Well, I'll tell you right now, as a city, if you come tomorrow, call the new chief of police, and he says, I don't know, I have no idea, and then hang up and say, okay, and call, I mean, it's probably already been done, but I'm just saying this would be what I would do. And just for sure, okay, thank you, and I'd call the Sebastian County Sheriff and say, hey, man, where you at on this deal? I have no idea. Then I'd immediately go out there and just take it back over. And if they have a problem, it's not with you guys, tell them to come down here to City Hall, because it's the city's property, so.
We own that, correct?
Yeah, so, and if they have a checking account and all that, he needs to go and reimburse whoever's paid dues into that. And if it's sold to me, I don't know who he is, but they could probably show up down here.
Whoever's name is on the checking accounts, that's their problem, that ain't our problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's a Springs Association, so.
Whoever's got their name on that checking account.
Can we just dissolve the association? I don't know how to.
Well, there's gotta be a bylaw, or some kind of, like you said, a guy sitting the president. If we need to break it, give me his number, I'll call him.
Sounds like they already dissolved. Long ago.
I think I have paperwork in my office.
Yeah, I think there's some paperwork, I'd like to.
That we own it.
Well, I'd like to talk to him in our public forum next month, just to let him know although we don't really have to give him a heads up, it'd be nice to hear his side of the story, and let him know that it's fixing to be part of us, and if you want to use it, it's going to be $45 a month or whatever.
Can you give me his information, I'll send him a letter, and tell him what we're doing, and if he objects to that.
He's a nice guy, and I approached him about it, and I approached the last guy, and friends like that too, but, you wouldn't think we were doing that conversation.
Well, it's not a frat house out there, not very good old boys about our weekend.
Well, we've got a lot of citizens, Greenwood citizens complain about apartments going out there in the middle of the night shooting, which there are night calls, we do them right after we start. I think it's just some officers got bored in one of our department that was going out there in the middle of the night shooting, waking up the citizens on the opposite side of the lake, so that's.
We own it, we need to control it.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Any questions for any of the other department heads?
I don't know which one I need to direct that to, but, I talked to you about the basketball goals on the side of the road.
Yes.
I don't know if there's some on some of our city streets that don't need to be there. There's no shoulders, they all got concrete driveways. Out there at the Eastgate subdivision, I drove through there, Sunday, I counted 15 that you have to dodge, so I'm not saying let's go play basketball, but they all got perfectly good concrete driveways, but we got them out in the street.
Well, it's funny too, because I can count on one hand the number of times I've seen any kid out shooting basketball on these basketball courts. They're just out there, but they just nobody. I've got 2 or 3 in our neighborhood. Nobody's ever playing basketball.
I'm saying, and they're all bent up. Most of them are broke, and they're doing the wind blows and blows them over the road. And I don't know what we're going to have to do, but I think that may be something.
So you know what ordinance, if any, would even come close to, other than the one that says the mayor or
It'd be a traffic, situation, impeding traffic.
Let's do a meeting down.
Nobody wants to get that,
Believe it or not, I've gotten phone calls over this. That's why
I didn't get a phone call, but I got a message sent to me through my dad from the Senior Citizens Center, who, same thing. She's just unbelievable that this goal is in there.
Does it like when you approach anything on the welfare and safety?
Well, Lance is correct too, that half of them, don't even have a boot on anymore.
I would say that I'm hung on never being hit.
So much that they've broken it all.
Let's not help. Can you not make?
It's just something I think we ought to look at. I mean, what's funny is every one of them have these really nice concrete driveways and they can be set to the edge of the yard.
They're not even children to complain.
Playing the street. So, I mean, it's an issue for certain things. But anyway, I just, something I don't know what we're gonna do, I guess I'll.
Well, we'll look at the ordinance and see if there's anything. You know, no, I agree. And when a car parks on the curb, they're in the road.
Yes.
But yeah, they're allowed to park there. I don't know what, we'll see. Maybe there's some city that has banned basketball. Is that what you're going to say? We are a football team out there. That's not a quote. That is not a quote.
It's not bad, but it's trying to just, I mean, just get them out of the road, that's all I'm asking.
Okay, we'll see what we
At
can.
least on the streets that are.
Busy or
narrow.
Stewart used to put wooden ramps in the street.
That's true, he did.
That's true.
And he still can't ramp on them. He's been working on
You
it.
know, like,
And I used to lay in there too, which I told them.
like a cul-de-sac or something that's up there, where Bryce lives, out the circle. I mean, I'm not really a problem with one maybe in that circle, but I agree on Ridgecrest Drive.
Ridgecrest Drive.
Probably got 4 or 5 out there that,
Yep.
now, some of those driveways you're talking about, they have a little incline, it'd be hard to.
They don't want to chase those.
Yeah, but I know what you're saying.
Or if you're in Michael's neighborhood, don't lose your basketball, because it's going to.
My shop falls in the gutters down there.
Okay.
I have a question for Sunnyvale.
Yes, sir.
I guess for Sunnyvale. I was asked about, there's a place on Daisy, I guess, across from the safety, excuse me, the softball field.
Shop.
Lawnmower shop? Yes. Guys, somebody's lawn repair shop, Larry's lawn repair, or whatever the heck, the small engine shop.
I know Jared has talked to him a couple of times, I don't know what the latest is on that, Jared's been handling.
What's the question?
I mean, I don't know if that's legal or not, I was somebody asking.
No, no, it's not, he's got a business license, but he doesn't have a home occupation license. You know, when that was in my department, I went up there and talked to him, I said, look, I know you're working on lawnmowers. If you work on them in your garage and all that, I don't think we have a problem with it. When you start putting them out here in the front with a for sale sign on them, I said, that's when we got a problem with them. So he cleans them up, and about a month or so later, he's there, starts to creep out there again, and like I said, I don't know where Jared is, I know Jared has talked to him several times.
He moves them in and out though, right? They don't stay out there all the time.
They're kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw by there the other day, and there's a sign, like
Yeah,
a
he's got
homemade sign, he stuck out there. on
You know, it's not as bad as the guys up here on Gunther, but it's still, you know,
So a home occupation permit,
he has to come from the planning commission to get a home occupation permit.
okay, that's
And
not.
so does the one up on the hill have one too?
No,
Okay, so I'm thinking, so you can't really say one without the other.
you know, there's certain things that you can do in your home, you could have a, you know, a small beauty shop, you could do arts and crafts stuff, you can daycares and things like that, but as far as putting signs out and things like that, you can't do it, and, even the other ones with the small beauty shop and all that, they have to come in front of the planning commission, you know that, you served on there, and the planning commission has to approve it. Anybody can come down and get a business license, but to get a home occupation license, then they have to have it approved.
What about the house between the Taco Bell and Sonic, they get a home occupation license?
As far as I know, that thing, Dick, and it will not be used, or it's not supposed to be used as a resident anymore. It's been empty long enough that it has reverted back to commercial. And so, you know, if somebody moves in there, then they'll have to deal with it, but, after they stay out so long, it's like where the, food truck is. They wanted to live there, but you can't do that. It's a commercial piece of property now because it stayed empty for a year or whatever. And so you can't go back in and make it residential.
So does it sound like there's not just a recommendation, but that we pursue authority that we have to make these businesses come and get their home, what's it called?
Occupation
Home occupation
permit. And
permit.
billboard, put in taxi signs.
I don't have a strong opinion about it, but
He said they have to come before the.
Well, he
commission.
had, he was on the agenda.
Oh, okay. I'll visit with, we'll get with Jerry first. I know, I've had a couple of complaints myself on the one you're talking about. Okay. No other questions for any department heads? It's council forum. If you have no council forum, I would like to, and I don't want to ask, or like to ask, but I need to ask for council's permission to go into executive session.
I agree. You gotta be on more specific,
Regarding,
say hiring, firing.
personnel issues, matters, no?
Hiring, firing,
Discipline.
promotion,
Discipline,
discipline.
discipline action,
What department?
finance department.
Okay.
make a motion, we go in.
You want us to leave? And that way, oh, and that.
Be a lot easier, no?
Clerk call roll. Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Mr. Jerry? Yes, sir.
Yes.
That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Go get us all started.
Are you good?
Go ahead, sir.
We've got a thermostat.
Sorry about this.
Are you?
Good.
From them.
What was he asking?
I didn't read it.
Was he asking?
Just be public information, so, he put it last week, or last month, public, so MSG would just come in and get that form for that. Sorry?
Yeah, sounds good to me. I didn't understand exactly what he was asking.
Yeah.
Can't be that easy. I think that was easy.
So do you want me to do it? This round? Is that like in the country?
Yeah, I don't know. We might have to review that issue.
I love your list.
What we said, we would like to, she did our next door neighbor. She did like the other neighbors. Everyone's got it out, everyone was cracking. We had these stalks in our yard.
Basic. Basically, your little strength. Then it gets steadily stranger.
Each one.
Some blueberry pancakes, you look like I love that, those commercials, all you can eat pancake. I tell you how much pancakes you can eat too. You like over that? Sure. Western omelet, put extra chili and onions on it. I think they'll lump it up like that.
She had a little,
Keep going.
They used to hand out,
she said that that was
finally got home.
towards some stuff. Then he said, no.
Yeah, this get the lottery, you gotta get drug off there. Maybe seven.
And the next thing you know, I'll look at the later, the dog got out.
That's right.
Anyway, she didn't like that.
Yeah.
Gotta get to it and go back.
Well, just when I get to me, he's doing such a nice, I wake up on Saturday and he comes over my home. That's my bad tree, he's still out there, he's cats on the
No, he came back that way, I think.
No,
So anyway,
just plain old Jane, huh?
yeah, I'm like, my back porch, I
See everybody else?
see the other people's houses.
See, I don't like that. What subdivision is it?
We lived up on Fort Parkway, about 236 way up there. Yeah, Michael was, Liz County Court guy.
Any brain problems?
Not real bad. I thought they were gonna be, but,
There are a lot of folks up there have.
I had Mike Davidson come out there, and he thought, he kind of looked at it and eyeballed it, he thought it
What
had
did
some
we
problems.
forgot to ask
and
him?
gave us some suggestions.
But
But I kind of closed too quick before I could get out there and do anything. Eventually, we'll sort of do around the pool there. And I think when I do that, it will work.
There's a guy that's, well, in fact, Michael has had his flooded several times in the water.
Yeah, that's what, I talked to him first, and he said that, when he first moved in, he got that close to having room. But he said since then, it's not been an issue, and the folks that I talked to about the pool, have assured me that they can build it up to where it wouldn't be an issue. So,
I guess we've had a lot of
seem
money
to
to
know
do
what
that
they're
there.
talking about, yeah.
Especially when they first started to build a house.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of them will go ahead and put through, and they're all supposed to, but they put up the barrier, but then we had one of those rains, and it just worked very everything.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes, you know,
Well, last year we had, those huge rains and the only thing that I have an issue with is down in, the brothers down here, so with the yard down there, I stuff down there, so I have to, and other ones. Nothing major so far. Like I said, some landscaping, they can really do some miracles out there, like put that pool in, so that's
Well,
what
you know,
stuff like that.
landscape architect can make water go uphill if he wants to.
Yeah, yeah. So I was gonna, in fact, I was just about to do that last spring, I had a heart attack, instead put paper cool and cut off that.
Still can't believe you had a heart attack.
Yeah. No medical bills here lately, but
Sounds
so
bad,
yeah,
though,
these medical bills, I got about all my taxes this year, so I'm not gonna be able to pay, that's the one good thing.
Just got a prescription today that will cost her several $100 in order.
So about how many would you use?
What's the big difference? Yeah, one day it's another day, she was turning her look at me. It's a couple $100 last year.
I've never had that. They all.
At different pharmacies,
Oh, they
yeah.
had $10.
Yeah.
There's one that my wife took that, it was like $700 and, our copay, I think she paid $40.
Yeah, that's what I
She's got one of those little things.
I took like 13 pills in the morning, about 8 to 9.
You're kidding me.
So I can go back and do about half of my whole.
Yeah. Well, you get all the blood thinners and you get all that too.
Yeah.
That just drives me crazy.
Yeah, me too. I took a fall. It was like my whole water.
I couldn't figure out what that's for. How much they are. That's the reason my pocket. And I thought, there you go. It just reached in your pocket for your keys and the rest of it.
Yeah, I carried something, I did something, and I had to put it across right here, so I used a piece of phone, try to figure out.
Yeah, I'll walk by something and, you know, you can yell, your arm was up. They say, you know, black and blue.
But I get, I really like, well, I turn out on, marks, I'm not already. No. I just mark it up, I see my son's.
Well,
That's double that.
That's not a good sign, because that's what they're telling me. My sophomore, I take my sophomore, I'm not just a lot of time, like 3 or 4 hours afterwards, and yeah, they told me that was a sign I should have observed, that I didn't pay attention.
Everybody does that though, but I mean,
Yeah, it shouldn't, yeah, it shouldn't start.
Yeah.
Since.
It looks like red speckles. That's what it's talking about.
yours,
It looks like blood.
yours.
Now they're,
Randy had Randy Davis had the same procedure I did.
Oh, really?
About a month ago, I talked to him.
What was your procedure?
That's where they go in there and rewire your heart. And, he was struggling, and I thought, I said, I'd recommend it.
You are.
Yeah, and basically what it is, guy told me, he says, I'm a heart electrician.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have a heart attack from that. Irregular heartbeat.
I say, it cured me.
Oh, you have a regular heartbeat? Whatever his name was.
Inflation doesn't fix it.
Oh, okay.
I had tried to restart it once, because it was kind of getting where it was good riding.
Yeah, I'm eventually gonna have to have open heart. That's not important that, but they actually stop your heart.
Well, they did mine, they stopped it, because they hit you with the thing, and it resets everything.
Yeah.
I had that do that one.
My mom went through it, and I ran as hard for recovery, and she was like, looks like it. And so I stayed there until about 1 o'clock, and I got up, came up next to the 7, better walking down the hall.
You're gonna have to have the major
I
surgery.
like to do my widow arms like 6 seconds or something.
Personal life. Let it fill up.
They got Randy Davis, she got doctors, it's been great.
He's an actor.
Yeah, that's what I started saying, Randy, it's forward, I'm getting forward.
Cyclist.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Everybody.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
said that instead of running down.
My stepbrother, who lives in Boston, we ran those houses together, and he's always just been a brother. He fell over actually, he's a brother-in-law. More than he joined on the beach, he fell over. And just so happened that the lifeguard was there nearby, and they zapped him.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah, they zapped him to save his life. And so he, stepmom called me and told me that what had happened. I said, tell Miles, I always told him my brother was going to kill him. I'll be darned, within 2 months I was in the hospital with a heart attack. So he called me and told me that I should have done it.
Kimmy described the heart surgery that she attends. Why some things that can be well done, that she talked about the slush, they put that in your body cavity around your heart and slow it way down. And she said it's really
I have a grandfather in Florida because of heart surgery. It's last summer and stuff. No, I'm over here. And I said, but that's what he does. He said, "Want to see one?" Yeah, he said, meet me at the emergency room tomorrow morning at 5:30. So I showed up and jammed and everything else. He said, they washed up. He said, now when we walk in there, you stand behind me on my right side and don't say a word. So I sat there and watched him do it. No heart surgery.
You were okay with it? It never goes down?
I would have passed out.
Yeah.
I've seen people, you know, it's like you guys, you see people in a whole lot more shape than surgery. You know they're good.
Yeah, I freeze. I would be good.
But like you said, they put the stuff in there and slow the heart.
Yeah, some of them have stopped.
They got that.
Both of our kids,
It's like Rick Brown.
you come on
They
in.
can't stop the heart.
And I said, no, I can't. No, I came upon, I was the first person upon a really bad wreck in Mountain Harbor.
With microscope.
Make
sure it's
Make
the scarf here.
And they were all bloody.
Pull up real hard, make sure they don't mark.
Well, I was checking on her, all of a sudden she woke up, started screaming. She says, my baby, where's my
Did you
baby?
see that area?
There was no baby in the car.
And you have to be concerned.
And so somebody else come along. I said, I'll tend to these folks, you crawl under the cars and see if you feel the baby. And I was like, please God, don't let me find anything. And all of a sudden,
I'll be your second patient because I know
her parents, she just pulled out of the driveway, just down the block.
We're going to come in first.
Maybe I'll just get before she pulled
your
out.
second patient always, then bring me in.
Oh, God.
He was a heart surgeon, always wanted to be a cowboy.
Really?
The old restaurant down there that, I can't remember what it was called.
That's what he read when he said it.
Mexican restaurant down there.
He's back, of course, he's
Do what?
got welding.
Yeah.
I think that's there's a barbecue place there.
Like I'm saying.
And I was there eating, and somebody got a rib stuff there. And I was there with my kids. And I think I was choking, and I just sat there and watched it. About a 13 or 14-year-old kid got up and did the high flip.
We're still talking to Texas running over there. You're in all
It didn't strike me until after they did that. I could have just sat there and watched them die and not do anything. I just froze.
So clear. You know, I just realized the tech we have around here. It's gonna be online.
What were you gonna say?
I was talking to Michael, he said we need a percent offer. Is that something like that you look at, or just need to write something on there?
We'll have to get their authority and then it'll be offer acceptance. I'll have a form for mom. We should have a. Maybe realtor can hand you one, but I think So I'm just an idea of what they want for, everybody's in the same ballpark.
It looks good.
All the
There's a lot
meeting.
of on that.
And all the variables.
Top of the thing.
Got to have something in writing.
So, do I need to have, do I need to support this? That's something we can have one.
We just want that, they just go around, they want to get school information, make sure.
I need to gavel this back in.
They're coming down.
At this time, I'd like to reconvene our city council meeting at 10:11 p.m. and announce that at this time there'll be no action taken. So we are at the end of our meeting. I think we've got council forum taken care of. Any other comments, questions, or yes, sir?
Sorry, I missed earlier. I thought you were going to just inform the council about us going up and talking at your seat, so that apparently other actions are being taken. So I'm trying to find out, are we actually going to talk to them about presenting it?
I've been instructed, I think, Chief, to go, you and I and anybody else that wants to attend with us can go, and we're just gonna hear what they have to say before we proceed with any.
I didn't know, they mentioned, the people here mentioned some other land that had been brought up. And
I mentioned not a specific piece of property, but I mentioned some property that I'll certainly give you details on, and that's the reason I didn't give them tonight. You're not aware of it, but no details, only to say there are options.
There's some other options, but this is the one that our fire board was.
I understand, but the fire board's not aware of the new option. But no, there was no, you and I will discuss it tomorrow for sure, and we'll go to that meeting, and I think in fact, the council was very near recommending us going with an official offer of the $150,000, even with what I had mentioned. But they decided, let's hear what the school board has to say to us first, and then go from there. Is that fair? Is that correct? We'll talk details for sure. Okay, anything else?
Motion adjourned.
Second. We're adjourned. Thank you very much. By the way, I very unofficially and now officially, thanks. That was a lot of business. So, thank you all.
Business.
A lot of business.